Good morning to ladies and gentlemen. We are about to begin our ceremony soon. Please allow me to share with you some housekeeping notes for today's event. First of all, please ensure your mic is muted and only turn on when it's your turn to speak. Kindly close other unnecessary tabs to ensure smoothness of the event. To all audiences, we are more than delighted to receive your questions during the sessions. For audiences in the Webex, you may kindly type your questions in the chat box or use the reaction button to raise your hand to speak during the Q&A session. While for the audiences watching via YouTube, you may also type in your questions in the live chat features and our secretariat will be importing your questions there too. All in all, questions will be entertained during the Q&A session following the main discussion. Thank you. Before we start, let us all turn on our camera for a short virtual photo shoot sessions to commemorate this event. Okay, the technical teams, are you ready?
Okay. Has everyone opened the...
Kindly turn on your camera. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Okay, I will count 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Once more. Sorry, Dr. Yong.
Yeah, please.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Go, please. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Mr. Kebu Asbaha, Regional Lead for Skill and Prosperity Southeast Asia, Councillor, British High Commission, Kuala Lumpur. Ms. Panada Mupala, Deputy Regional Director, ILO Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific. Professor Dr. Yong Zulina Binti Zubairi, Associate Vice Chancellor, International University Malaya. Professor Dr. Stephanie Shamila Pillai, Dean of Social Advancement and Happiness Research Cluster, University Malaya. Dr. Akiko Sakamoto, Regional Skill Development and Employability Specialist, ILO Decent Work Technical Support Team for East and Southeast Asia and the Pacific. Dr. Junichi Mori, Chief Technical Advisor, Skill for Prosperity Program Malaysia. Professor Dr. Sherilyn Monterola, Director, National Institute for Science and Mathematics Education Development, University of the Philippines, Diliman. Insigne Dr. Mas Shahidayana Mokhtar, the head of UN STEM Center. Distinguished guests, members of media, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome and good morning. I'm Chen Chen, the MC for today, and on behalf of the organizer, it is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the launching ceremony of the UM-ILO UK partnership for the integration of STEM-related generic skill into TVET and skill training. This event is intended to publicly announce the implementation partnership between UM-ILO UK for the integration of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM-related generic skill into TVET and skill training. under the Skill for Prosperity program in Malaysia, which are implemented by the International Labour Organizations, ILO, and funded by the UK government. It aims to increase the employment and career progressions opportunities of TVET and skill trainings with the acquisitions of STEM-related generic skill, particularly women and youth in the food processing and constructions-related sector. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Kebu Asbaha, Regional Lead for Skill and Prosperity Southeast Asia, Councillor, British High Commission Kuala Lumpur, to give his speech. Please welcome.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, selamat pagi. Good morning, everybody. Datuk, Tuan. I'm honored to join you virtually for this launch ceremony on the integration of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, related generic skills into TVET and other skills training through the Skills for Prosperity initiative. I'm delighted to be in the presence of Professor Dr. Muhammad Hamdi Abdul Shukr, Professor Associate, Professor Dr. Yong Chen Chen, Ms. Panada Ponpala, Regional Director, the ILO Regional Office for Asia Pacific, Professor Dr. Cheryl Lynn Monterola, Dr. Mas Sahidayana Mukhtar, and Dr. Akiko Sakamoto, distinguished speakers and participants. I'm really grateful that we have progressed so well with the Malaysia-UK ILO partnership through the Skills for Prosperity program, and that we have such strong support from our respected Malaysian partners in the quest to develop and integrate STEM-related skills into TVET and other skills training. You will hear more about the Skills for Prosperity program from the ILO team later. The ILO, as you know, are our esteemed delivery partner for this program. For this initiative, our goal is to support Malaysia's aspiration to produce highly skilled personnel and technical professionals through the integration of analytical skills related to STEM, to TVET, and other skills training. In the long term, we hope that this will improve employability and livelihoods for people, particularly those from economically and socially disadvantaged groups. The world of work, as you know, is constantly changing, so we must continue to prepare for the future of jobs together. We were already navigating tricky waters, preparing for the workforce to shift to digitization and the impact of the Industrial Revolution 4.0. This have now been further amplified by the effect of the COVID pandemic on the economy, on the labor markets. The global unemployment rate was recorded at an all-time high of 6.47% in 2020. And in Malaysia specifically, it was 4.55%. The World Bank anticipates an uneven recovery in 2021 as COVID-19 waves and subsequent lockdowns continue worldwide. COVID-19 might have stalled out many things in normal life as we used to know it. However, it has accelerated the adoption of the fourth industrial revolution and has significantly changed the way we work today. This has made the need to amplify the skills of our local talent a pressing business. I believe the integration of STEM, TVET, and other skills training will be crucial in helping technical workforce and students to be equipped with the latest skills through upgrades and upscaling, which are based on technological developments and the future needs of industry. In addition, we want to learn lessons from this initiative so that we can share these with other stakeholders in Malaysia, the ASEAN region, and with the UK too, and to promote future UK-Malaysia economic collaboration for both our countries' mutual prosperity. To give you an example, in the UK, we have seen the positive impact of supporting STEM education at an early stage. For example, according to the UK Department for Education, acceptances into computer science courses has risen by almost 50% since 2011. And acceptances to engineering courses are up by 21%. Research has also shown that achieving 2 or more A-levels in STEM subjects adds more than 7.8% to earnings when compared to just gaining GCSE level qualifications, which are equivalent to the SPM in Malaysia. In addition, recent forecasts have suggested that increasing the number of women working in STEM sectors can increase the UK's labour value by at least £2 billion. We are keen to continue the rewarding partnership that Malaysia and the UK share through this initiative, as well as continuing to support the country's transition to high income status in a sustainable and inclusive way, in line with the 12th Malaysia Plan. I thank you all for your continuous engagement and commitment despite the challenges of the pandemic, which means we have to work twice as hard and through innovative ways to collaborate across multiple agencies and ministries. I hope you will have a productive session today. Thank you and all the best from the British High Commission. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Mr. Kebu Asbaha, for the insightful speech. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Panana Mupala, Deputy Regional Director, ILO Regional Office for Asia and Pacific, to give her speech. Please welcome.
Good morning, dear Professor Dr. Stephanie Shamila Pillai, Dean, Social Advancement and Happiness Research Center, University, Malaya. Mr. Kebu Asbaha, Regional Lead for Skills for Prosperity, Southeast Asia, and Counselor of British High Commission, Kuala Lumpur. Distinguished guests and all participants, Salam Sejahtera and good morning again. It is my pleasure to take part in this launching ceremony today. The International Labour Organization has had a long-standing partnership with the Government of Malaysia, employers and workers' organizations, and many other key stakeholders. We have been working together in various fields to promote decent work in Malaysia. With respect to collaboration on TVET and skills development, the Skills for Prosperity program, with the generous support of the UK government, is our core activity in Malaysia. The Skills for Prosperity program in Malaysia, or in short SFP Malaysia, aims to increase national capacity for inclusive economic growth through the development of more future-ready TVET and skills training systems and the promotion of equality and diversity. As we all are aware, currently we all are in the age of great uncertainty and transformation. The ILO Centenary Declaration for the Future of Work 2019 identifies a transformative change in the world of work driven by technology, a demographic shift, environment and climate change, and also globalization. Moreover, as already Mr. Kebu has mentioned, that the COVID-19 pandemic has caused critical health, education, social, and economic crisis worldwide, which increased the challenges posed by these global rivals. In this changing world of work, there is growing recognition that core skills or generic skills are key catalysts for helping the workforce adapt to the uncertainty and disruption caused by these mega trends and global crises. Therefore, together with national partners here today, the ILO would like to promote the integration of generic skills related to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or in short STEM, into TVET and skill training programs. STEM-related generic skills, such as skills to design and test engineering solutions through collaboration, are transferable and portable. These skills, will help TVET and skills training graduates acquire not only decent jobs, but also career progression opportunities and job mobility. We highly appreciate that the government of Malaysia has been promoting STEM skills through various policies on science, technology, and innovation. Furthermore, the National Occupational Skills Standards contain core skills such as problem-solving skills. I hope the SFP Malaysia can reinforce this national movement by benefiting and utilizing ILO's technical resources and global network. Most recently, the ILO has developed on its global framework on core skills for life and work in the 21st century. This framework provides a shared vision of the ILO Centenary Declaration and its human-centered approach to shaping a secure future of work. Furthermore, we have been implementing many projects on STEM in TVET in ASEAN, including Thailand, the Philippines, Indonesia, and also in other regions. Finally, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank University Malaya for leading this important initiative. I also thank all representatives from government, industry, and workers' organizations for joining the commencement of this great endeavor. Once again, I thank the UK government for the financial support and strong partnership with the ILO. We sincerely hope that our collaboration will not only contribute to inclusive skills development in Malaysia, but also provide valuable lessons and tools for other countries in ASEAN, but also in other regions in the future. Thank you so much for your attention, Terima kasih, and I wish you a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Panana Mupala, for the insightful speech. Next, representing UN Vice-Chancellor, we would like to invite Professor Dr. Stephanie Shamela Pillai, Dean's Social Advancement and Happiness Research Cluster, University Malaya, to give the opening ceremony speech and to hereby officiate this partnership. Please welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yong. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, right.
Okay, all right, just checking my mic. Thank you so much. Mr. Kabur Asbaha, Regional Lead for Skills for Prosperity Southeast Asia and Councillor British High Commission Kuala Lumpur. Ms. Panuda Bunpala, Deputy Regional Director, International Labour Organization, Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific. Professor Dr. Yong Selina binti Zubairi, Associate Vice Chancellor, International University, Malaya. Dr. Akiko Sakamoto, National Skills Development and Ability Specialist, ILO Decent Work Technical Support Team for East and Southeast Asia and the Pacific. Esteemed panel members, Dr. Junichi Mori, Chief Technical Advisor, Skills for Prosperity Program Malaysia. Professor Dr. Sherilyn C. Monterello, Director, National Institute for Science and Mathematics Education Development, University of the Philippines, Diliman. Senior Dr. Masahidayana Mokhtar, STEM Center. Distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and warm greetings. First of all, on behalf of University Malaya and the Vice Chancellor of University Malaya, Professor Dato Insinyur Dr. Hamdi Abdul Shakur, I'm pleased to welcome all of you to the launching ceremony of ILO UK Partnership for the Integration of STEM-related generic skills into TVET and Skills Training. Are immensely blessed to be able to gather here. Although we are only able to see each other virtually, the most important thing is that we are all here together on this platform. In this project, University Malaya and the International Labour Organization will cooperate to strengthen generic skills related to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM, in technical and vocational education and training, or TVET, and skills training programs. We are fortunate indeed to have the support of the ILO Skills for Prosperity Southeast Asia Program Malaysia, funded by the UK government. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for UM to be entrusted with this project, as well as a great responsibility as we are currently embarking on a new journey towards achieving our new vision of becoming a global university impacting the world. International partnerships therefore remain one of our top priorities in building avenues for knowledge sharing and collaboration platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic has severely affected all economic sectors globally. Technology disruption brought by the Industrial Revolution 4.0 or IR 4.0 has changed the way. Thus, it is imperative, very important to develop agile talent with skills, especially STEM-related skills needed by industry to maintain a competitive advantage. The call for the project is timely and important, as TVET and skill trainees, particularly women and youth, can make use of these initiatives that help to increase their employability and develop their careers. In addition, this partnership will work towards identifying a viable way to integrate STEM in TVET and skills training, while learning from the experiences and success stories of other countries through international comparative analysis. Now, apart from technical skills, scientific knowledge we know is essential for operations, troubleshooting, and maintenance in smart industry, as it equips future workers with deeper knowledge, higher order thinking skills, and greater adaptability to new technologies in order to secure jobs and to remain competitive. We hope to provide students with skills and knowledge that shape them into effective and competitive individuals in a flattened world. Thus, the future of smart industry will be largely shaped by STEM education. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that this strategic partnership project will beneficial outcomes to help future generations to prepare demanding skills that will be required by future employers. Let me end by expressing my sincere hope for many more collaborations with international organizations to work towards the betterment of society, as together we can impact the world. Last but not least, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the committee members for your dedication in organizing this wonderful event, and to all the participants and speakers for joining us today. Really look forward to a very lively, fruitful discussion. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I hereby launch the UMILO UK partnership for the integration of STEM-related generic skills into TVET and skills training. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Stephanie, for officiating this ceremony, and hereby this partnership in which integration of STEM-related generic skill into TVET and skill training are officially mandated. Ladies and gentlemen, to resume our events, I would like to invite Dr. Juniji Mori, Chief Technical Advisor, Skill for Prosperity Malaysia Programs, to give an insightful overview on the SFP Malaysia programs to our audience today. Please welcome.
Very much. I hope my voice is clear. So let me share my slide. Sorry, give me a few minutes. So I hope you can see my slide. Is that okay, MC? Hello?
Yes, Prof. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. So first of all, good morning for everybody. Thank you very much for launching this partnership, Professor Dr. Stephanie Shamila Pillai. And then also thank you very much, Mr. Keburu Azbaha, and then all distinguished guests. So good morning again. And then let me just give, how to say, greeting by my poor Malay. Selamat datang ucapkan, saya sangat menghargai kehadiran Anda semua. So again, welcome, and then I really appreciate all your participation today. So let me briefly introduce the Skills for Prosperity program Malaysia. So actually, Malaysia's skills and TVET system has a good reputation. It's well established, and then in terms of the policy and then structure, and then Malaysia's TVET and then skills training is often seen as models in regionally and then even sometimes globally. Like when I was working in Vietnam, I sometimes brought my colleagues from Vietnam to Malaysia, and then I visited some TVET institutions, including vocational college, ADUTEC, and SIAST, and we are very impressed. And then I saw like a government is highly committed, even seeing the 12th Malaysia plan recently issued. So, however, as you may be well aware, there are still some challenges remain in terms of the quality, relevance, and equity. But today's partnership is most relevant to the quality, how to improve the quality of the TVET and then the skills training. So here's our program's objective. So our Skills for Prosperity program Malaysia aim to increase the national capacity for inclusive economic growth through more future-ready TVET skills training systems and promoting equality and diversity. So our program have two characteristics. First of all, we try to address the both skills supply and then skills demand side. Often like many TVET projects, just look at the supply side, but we try to address both sides. Second, we take a sectoral approach. So by focusing on specific sectors, we can get the in-depth understanding of the skills for the specific sectors, and then think about how to reduce skills mismatch. So we focus on the construction and the food processing sector. Our Skills for Prosperity Malaysia program is under the Decent Work Country program. So there's a 3-country priority of the Decent Country program, and then our program, Skills for Prosperity program, focus on the 2nd country priority, future of work. And then there are the 3 outcomes like inclusive skills development, recognition and certification, and then knowledge and analytical base of the future work, strengthen the institutional capacity for labor market analysis. And then that what our program tries to focus on. So here's a brief background of the project. We are working with the tripartite partners from the government, employers organization, workers organization, and TVET and skills institutions, and then state government, and then TVET institution in Sabah, Kedah. And then today, we really want to welcome the University of Malaysia as another partner. So our program focuses on the youth and women. And then, as I said, the focus sector is the food processing and construction. Although we hope that the result from the project will be also disseminated to other sectors. And then the project is funded by the UK government. So let me explain the overview of our project and then what sort of the output we are aiming through our project. So our program are mainstreamed by the gender equality and social inclusion. And then first of all, we try to address the information side. Our program aims to improve the quality of the skills demand and then supply information based on we try to improve the skills supply and then demand information in terms of the quality and then quantity. And then for this, we are working with our national partners, including EPU and then DOSM, which is leading the Labor Market Information Analytics Platform initiative under 12th Malaysia Plan. And then based on the improved information, we aim to assist our national partner to develop or enhance the industry upgrading maps and the sector skills strategy. So this we call it as integrated skills strategies, including both demand and supply side. And then to formulate this skill strategy and then implement these skill strategies, we need the industry-led skills coordination mechanism. And then that what we try to help the national partners. And then these sector skills strategies should lead the improvement of the TVET and then skills training programs in terms of the quality. And then it should increase the supply of the skilled workers to meet current and also future skills demand. And then industry upgrading map should stimulate the skills demand, and then this should promote the skills utilization. So even if we increase the skills supply, if skills demand doesn't increase, simply to lead to the overqualification or overskilling, as we have seen in some developed countries. So also, it is very important to think about the futures. So future is always unknown, although we try to predict. So that's why it is very important to promote generic skills, like STEM-related generic skills, and then also skills for the Industry 4.0 and then future economy. So finally, also, it is important to promote the upskilling aspiration of the workers or trainees, because skills development is a continuous process, not like a one-time process. And then through this coordinated system, we hope that we can help Malaysia to achieve inclusive skills and then economic development. And then today's focus is again STEM-related generic skills. And then this is very important to overcome the uncertainty of the current and the future world of work. So let me explain why it is really important to integrate STEM skills into the TVET. Probably that is a question you may think. So I have two answers for this. Of course, there are many reasons, but I just pick up two. So STEM skills, first of all, STEM skills will help TVET skills graduate break the glass ceiling of the academic vocational divide and then obtain career progressions opportunities. So this figure is developed based on my experience in other countries, not necessarily in Malaysia. So particularly in manufacturing sectors. In the manufacturing sector, often secondary education graduate become a production line operator, TVET graduate, get a job as a plant or machine operator, or even like assemblers. And then they tend to have a career progression path to the technicians or supervisor or line leaders. On the other hand, in general, like engineers or product designers or managers are often from the university or college graduate. And then there is often glass ceiling between these two paths. So technician TVET graduate who became a technician or supervisor have a little difficulty to progress to the next position, like engineers or designers. So this I call as a glass ceiling. Why glass ceiling? Because officially, like some career progression path is available and supported by the qualification framework, and then a human resource development policy of the company actually encourage people have a career progression path, but often technicians struggle to become engineers. That's the reality. And then when I talk with the employers, I often find that they say this glass ceiling is because of some skills are lacking, like problem solving skills, analytical and then critical thinking skills, teamwork skills, and then also some theoretical skills like science and then technology skills. So it means if a TVET or skills training graduate have these skills, they can break through the glass ceiling and then can go to the next step. So that's why it is very important to promote STEM-related generic skills. So second answer is STEM skills will contribute to inclusive growth and then business development through the productivity, quality improvement, innovations, and then also the gender equality and then the social inclusion. So this I listed the STEM-related generic skills here again. And then these skills will enable the workers to lead the productivity and quality improvement through the many activity like a quality control circle, Kaizen 5S, industrial engineering, total productivity maintenance. To conduct these activities, the STEM-related skills are very important. Also, let's say this is called as incremental innovation. And then also with the STEM-related generic skills, like supported by some basic science theories, and then statistics, and then data collection analysis skills. So the workers can lead the innovation. Like maybe they can install the automation equipment, and then they can maintain. They may develop a software. They may even develop new product or service, and then promote the Internet of Things or big data analysis. So from this, not only company, but the country itself can benefit. And then also often these new skills will open the new opportunity for women and then other people in a vulnerable group. So that's why STEM-related generic skills are important. So now I really hope all of us here together with all the partners here, we can begin a win-win partnership, which makes students and trainees smile and then increase the satisfaction of the employers in the long run. And then actually I've been in this field like over 20 years. And then when the students smile, and then when I hear the satisfaction of the employers, that's the moment I really feel like I'm rewarded. And I hope we can go to this endeavor together. So thank you very much, Torimakashi. And then I hope we'll have a fruitful discussion today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chunichi, for the insightful explanations on SFP program, and we wish the audiences are well informed of this program. Now, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Sherilyn Monterola, Director, National Institute for Science and Mathematics Education Development, University of the Philippines, Diliman, to give an insightful comparative analysis on STEM in TVET skill system between selected countries to our audience today. Please welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Yong Chen. Allow me to pull up my slides before I start the presentation. Good morning once again. A pleasant morning, everyone, and thank you very much for the warm welcome. Mr. Kebur Asbaha of the British High Commission of Kuala Lumpur, Ms. Panuda Bunpala, the Deputy Regional Director of ILO Regional Office, and Professor Stephanie Shamla Pillay of University Malaya, Dr. Junichi Mori, the Chief Technical Officer of Advisor of SFP Malaysia, Dr. Akiko Sakamoto, Dr. Mas, whom I've been working closely through this project. Of course, Professor Dr. Yong Surina Binti Zubayri of UM, and Professor Dr. Associate Professor Dr. Yong Chen, our distinguished guest from MOSTI, MOHR, MOHE, MOS, MEF, and FMM, colleagues, friends, a pleasant morning. Thank you for this opportunity to share some insights regarding a comparative analysis on STEM in TVET and skill systems between selected countries, and also somehow share my experience in the STEM and TVET workforce development that we are doing in the Philippines, and it currently in its implementation stage. Economic agenda across the world recognize the importance of investing in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics skills development to attain sustained and inclusive growth. Earlier, as mentioned or emphasized by Dr. Junichi, with the fourth industrial revolution and accelerated changes in technologies in various industries, skills demand have leveled up notably in TVET. There is greater expectation for skills that are not easily replaceable, yet relatively flexible for taking on more challenging job roles. The acronym STEM, therefore, has evolved alongside these changes in the employment landscape, such that STEM can also be a proxy acronym for skills and tools for employment. For my presentation this morning, allow me to share on some global trends in the future of work. I will also talk about international frameworks on work skills, as well as STEM skills in various TVET initiatives around the world. Lastly, I'd like to emphasize the alignment of STEM-related core work skills with existing Malaysian national frameworks, and of course, the relevant agencies working on them. To start with the global trends in the future of work, I'd like to start with the World Economic Forum, the Future of Jobs report in 2020. It has identified top 10 skills for 2025, as well as the emerging skills for advanced manufacturing. And as you can see in the list, so the list for the overall top 10 skills for 2025 is just recalibrated or readjusted or re-ranked, as you can see here in relation to advanced manufacturing. Here in advanced manufacturing, the emerging skills that are important are technology use, monitoring and control, critical thinking and analysis. Down the line, we have analytical thinking and innovation, reasoning, problem-solving ideation, complex problem solving. As you can see, a close inspection of this list of skills actually reveals that they are STEM-related and they are intuitively developed or fostered in STEM learning activities or assessments. Similarly, a report of Gartner on reskilling the workforce has identified demand for new skills such as virtual team collaboration, cloud services, artificial intelligence, the ability to interact with smart robots, and also digital dexterity of all kinds. Gartner defined digital dexterity as a set of beliefs, mindsets, and behaviors that help employees deliver faster and more valuable outcomes from digital initiatives. According to their analysis, employees with high levels of digital dexterity are open to technology's potential. They are willing to flex roles and take risks. They are also adept at iterative and collaborative ways of working, as well as possessing strong technology and data savviness. Separate yet related studies in human capital development introduce the concepts of skill adjacencies, skill shapes, and cross-function mobility. These studies have shown that skills themselves exist in a skills universe that consists of all the possible skills found in the workplace. Adjacent skills are skills related to other skills in one way or another. Employees with a particular skill would more likely have or be familiar with these other related skills. The figure on the left shows the skills adjacency map done by Gartner for natural language processing, as well as for social listening. Each skill having its own skill universe. But there is another skill, as you can see on the map, represented by the orange circle. You have sentiment analysis bridging the two skills universes of natural language processing and social listening. Gartner calls this the stepping stone skill that can provide cross-function mobility and can be leveraged for upskilling and reskilling of workers. Similarly, work done by Weiss, Hanson, and Saleh on the new geography of skills, they emphasize what you call the skill shape for different sectors. Here, you can see the sample skill shape of manufacturing roles. Skill shapes define roles based on skills that cluster together as they emerge and evolve in the job market using data and AI. So here you can see the skill shape for the manufacturing roles, and it's a combination of good manufacturing practices, the use of computer, emphasizing on human-computer interaction. There's also what you call the existence as well of traditional manufacturing. So the roles here may change, the skill shape may change depending on the locality, depending on the demand, depending on the labor market analysis. With all of these changes in the world or the future of work, different international frameworks have been developed in relation to this. Here we're seeing the 2021 ILO core work skills. And here we're seeing that it's a global framework on core skills for life and work in the 21st century. Here I'd like to highlight the 4 categories of skills embedded in this global framework. As you can see, there's emphasis on social and emotional skills, the basic skills for green jobs, the basic digital skills, and the cognitive and metacognitive skills. One of the unique features of this ILO core work skills is the metacognitive skill, which, as you can see, is related to thinking about thinking, and it actually encompasses positive impacts on what you call diverse productivity measures and even entrepreneurial mindset. As you can see, a close inspection again of these skills reveal that they are really, or in fact, related to STEM. Early this year, the World Economic Forum came up with this taxonomy of skills at work. Here you can see how they have expanded skills and knowledge. And one of the snapshots here into different levels, as you can see, for innovation and creativity is further expanded to problem solving. And furthermore, you have problem solving expanded or broken down into analytical thinking, creative thinking, critical thinking, and systems thinking. Also here emphasized in this taxonomy of skills at work on digital and technology skills. So you have technology and design and programming, as well as technology use, monitoring, and control. As you can see, as much as there is emphasis on AI, computational thinking, and computer hardware networking, and other highly technical skills, there's also an emphasis on what you call technical skills that are on the lower end, such as installation, machining, and other manufacturing technologies. So it's a mix again of what you call high and low technical skills. Nevertheless, they are related to what you call STEM, especially so the emphasis on the thinking skills. Moving on from those different international frameworks, we look at the frameworks developed by different countries. Here, I'm sharing with you the MIT JWell Human Skills Matrix, or the HSX. This matrix, or this Human Skills Matrix, or HSX, has identified 24 durable skills and attributes that are needed for individuals to thrive in the work of the future that is deeply impacted by automation. As you can see, the skills are organized into 4 categories, namely thinking, interacting, managing oneself, and leading. Although the Human Skills Matrix has several overlaps with existing frameworks on 21st century competencies, it has 2 distinct features that I'd like to point out. Namely, its emphasis on the skills of leading and the role of multiliteracies in the work of the future. The first feature suggests that all workers, regardless of the level they are in, whether at entry level or at a much higher level, need to have foresight for what their workplace needs, as well as know-how to manage people they work with in order to deliver target outcomes. The second distinctive feature of the HSX is the criticality of different forms of literacies. Here you can see the form of literacy that serves as the bridge between 2 categories of skills. For example, interacting and leading skills are bridged by organizational literacy, which may suggest that when these 2 skill sets are honed together, it brings about the ability to navigate an organization effectively by understanding how people can be connected and empowered toward achieving shared workplace goals. Also, the same of people working behind the MIT HSX worked with the Office of Open Learning of MIT and collaborated on this project called the Mass Bridge, the Advanced Manufacturing Workforce Education Program. It's on its first phase with a benchmarking study. And they came up with this report talking about advanced manufacturing curriculum content. As you can see here, in various levels, whether it's at level 10, level 20, or level 30, as increasing level of difficulty, you can see there are overlaps in terms of the STEM skills and STEM knowledge. You'll see basic measurement, mensuration, critical thinking. You also see lower level mathematics, as well as mixed up with machine tools, manual machining, manufacturing processes, problem solving, professional skills. And again, one way or another, they are related to STEM skills and of course, supported by STEM knowledge, which consists of concepts, laws, and principles from the different fields of STEM. Another study, this time done by the Burning Glass Technologies, produced what you call a heat map of baseline skills. Burning Glass Technologies explicitly tracks the baseline skills employers request in job postings. And from there, that they can provide a detailed lens into which baseline skills are most important for each job. There are clear differences in baseline skill requirements that emerge from job to job. As you can see here in the heat map, it shows the top 10 skills like communication skills, teamwork, collaboration, organizational skills, problem solving, physical abilities down to detail-orientedness, planning, and so on. But take note that this list varies from job to job. As you can see presented here, different sectors like the construction sector, for which the topmost skill that's relevant is communication, followed by physical abilities, organizational skills, and also important along here is what we call planning. And of course, other skills as well. So this is what you call the heat map of baseline skills produced by Burning Glass Technologies, and they are driven by data coming from job postings, of course, related to the postings of employers. On another study, Deming and Array constructed a new measure of job skill change in terms of academic majors as well as occupations. As you can see here, academic majors related to STEM are ranked with a great rate of skill change, as you can see in the list. Together with the occupation skill change, there's also an emphasis on having STEM occupations as well as academic majors experiencing the highest rate of change. And of course, not only STEM occupations, but also business occupations that are related or they are somehow impacted by technology. Another, moving on from the US different examples, we have the Skills Future Singapore, the critical core skills. There are 16 critical core skills listed here. And for their workforce, they're actually focused on this in relation to mastery and lifelong learning. The framework is actually the main influence behind Singapore's training and adult education industry transformation plan. It also covers the critical core skills and technical skills and competencies. And later on, they are further expanded into occupation or job-specific knowledge, skills, and ability. Looking at the 16 critical core skills in this Skills Future SG framework, it's evident that they are STEM-oriented and partly echoes the human skills matrix of MIT, and later on, as I will talk about, the UK's T-level standards, and also the Australia's core unit competencies. But I'd like to point out one important or unique thinking skill that's highlighted in the Skills Future Singapore, and that is transdisciplinary thinking, the ability to integrate knowledge and skills from diverse perspectives and form it into a coherent whole that can work with that can provide what you call real-world solutions. In the case of Vietnam, our previous work done by Dr. Junichi on the skills gap in manufacturing highlighted the following skills and how they are actually relevant to different job roles, whether it is at entry level, whether it is at leadership level, or whether it is already at the design level. As you can see here, there are skills gap in manufacturing, like problem solving, team management, and entrepreneurship mindset, safety knowledge, mechanical engineering, ability to balance quality, cost, and delivery, logical thinking, technical skills, automation skills, maintenance, even communication skills and foreign language. And as you can see, as I'd like to emphasize that these skills is not unique to just, higher level of roles within the manufacturing sector. They also they're also expected from what you call entry level and other intermediate worker level positions or roles in the manufacturing sector. Here in the UK, they have the T-level general competency framework. And as you can see here, they have recent efforts really to improve the development of STEM skills by introducing these T-levels. And they have actually identified 15 T-level routes that are STEM related or partially STEM aligned. And one of which is very much relevant to our work right now on manufacturing and construction. As you can see here in the T-level general competency framework, there is an expanded understanding of what mathematics or numeracy is in relation to TVET. As you can see here, mathematics is not only about calculating, but it also shows how deepening understanding of numeracy can actually help workers identify how numeracy, how STEM is very much evident in the workplace. So like, for example, understanding data and risk, being able to estimate, calculate, and even spot error, they're part and parcel of what you call numeracy or mathematical skills. Aside, of course, from communication and digital competency that are also consolidated here in the T-level General Competency Framework for UK. For Australia, they have what you call the House of STEM. This is done by the Australian National Centre for Vocational Education Research. In Australia, they recognize that VET programs are already contributing to the development of STEM-related skills. And they have actually proposed this model called the House of STEM to situate STEM skills in TVET. So based on the model, STEM is actually supported by 4 categories of skills. They called it foundational literacies, wherein you have numeracy. They also have social-emotional skills, wherein there's resilience, curiosity, and empathy. They also have what you call technical occupation skills, such as coding, design, and construction, and of course, the more advanced cognitive skills. And here, as you can see, alongside the House of STEM, there is a STEM shed, which emphasizes also the integration of STEM knowledge, or the knowledge coming from the STEM disciplines. In the case of the Philippines, this is a primary work that we have started last year, and we have used the knot model of STEM in Tibet as an analogy of a knot that is used for securing or fastening a bolt, which can be considered as a digitization of TVET and skill system. Here, we're demonstrating that STEM in TVET is important for securing skills for the digital economy. The unique emphasis on STEM on critical thinking, creative, inventive thinking, and problem solving can take the more generic stance of digitized TVET to the higher level of human capital development. Yes, we agree that technology is important, but more so is the ability to think how to wield technology purposely for impactful results. STEM skills here are mapped to existing 21st century skills framework, but there is a need to expand understanding of numeracy, as well as the ability to integrate knowledge skills from diverse perspectives into a coherent whole, which I was talking about in a while back on transdisciplinary thinking. So these are the different frameworks coming from US, Singapore, Vietnam, and the Philippines. In the case of the Philippines, we have, as I've mentioned earlier, we have begun the curriculum development and the training of trainers. We had curriculum guide write-up, we had the training of trainers, and we also emphasize not just on STEM-related work skills, but as also what you call the flexible learning delivery, and of course, human-centric or learner-centered approaches. We produce what you call STEM TVET curriculum guidelines, which contains reference documents for STEM competencies, further helping those who will use them understand or the bank, for example, the different STEM competencies, highlighting the relevant knowledge, skills, and learning activities. We also produce different trainers' guides and student workbooks, contextualizing the different STEM learning activities and assessments into the respective training regulations. So we have one for web dev, animation, aquaculture, cookery, and a lot more. Also, in the process of highlighting STEM learning activities and assessments, we also integrated technology. So we introduced different platforms, and we also made use of different learning activities or learning approaches, which are actually used by other TVET institutions across the world. In Germany, for example, they have been using some of the listed techniques or teaching approaches or trainings here. Also, part of the work that we are doing in the Philippines is to help or assist the trainers how to really make the STEM learning activities come alive in the sessions that they have. So here we have shown them how, for example, a scamper invention algorithm can be used by, let's say, game development, but it can be differently used, but on the same notion in, let's say, cookery, or in, let's say, in a different training regulation. We have also shown them different learning activities and templates that can really help them develop the STEM thinking skills. I have talked about the different international frameworks and global trends in the future of work. But at the end of the day, I'd like to emphasize that the current initiative that we are doing on integrating STEM-related generic skills into TVET is very much aligned with the existing Malaysian national frameworks. And the process of engaging in this project will also deliberately contextualize all these different frameworks coming from outside to what will be really useful and relevant and meaningful for Malaysia. Here, I'm showing that the STEM skills initiative right now that we are presenting is relevant to the MOSTI, 1010 MISTI framework, and even to the HRDF strategic initiative of MOHR, and also the Higher Education 4.0 blueprint of MOHE, and of course, the NOS towards a high-income nation, of course, containing the national occupation standards and how they are already intuitively related to STEM. So thank you very much for this opportunity to share these insights on the different global trends in the future of work, and also the frameworks, whether a mix of explicit or implicit frameworks talking about the importance of STEM in relation to the future of work. To end, let me share with you this video as a highlight showcasing that what we have done in the Philippines.
It has become evident that the need for the STEM skills is critical impetus for the development. Workers need STEM skills to keep up with processes and changes in the development solutions. Innovation and discoveries associated with setting this in STEM, because they have always been in the success of these STEM professionals are always testing new ideas and these technologies. They are the innovators that use STEM-powered process.
Of course, it's not just about the economy. It's also about being a good global citizen, being a citizen of by understanding that there are all these huge global challenges that we face as a that we're going to have to come together to solve. And when you can have those skills, you have them through this global perspective, or you can team with anyone, communicate with anyone, it's going to be that much stronger.
This training of trainers is very timely and relevant, particularly in our preparation for the fourth industrial revolution. This crucial time calls for our trainers to acquire new skills, STEM skills, socio-emotional skills, and 21st century skills in order to develop learners ready for lifelong learning.
2020 has been a year filled with disruptions caused by pandemic lockdowns, abrupt shift on online. STEM and TVET education provides a foundation for the needed disruptive innovation needed to develop the skills demanded in the new market. Responsive TVET programs need to focus on developing STEM competencies that will prepare our workers to be agile, resilient in the face of rapid changing requirements of the future. More than ever, STEM becomes even more relevant, in fact, an imperative in supporting our workers. We look forward to having you, the as our next TVET ambassadors for STEM, will lead the way in inspiring and training the next generation.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to present. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Prof. Sharon, for that delicate comparative analysis, and we wish the participant will gain insightful information. To correlate with our launching event for today, I would like to invite Insigne Dr. Shahidayana Mokhtar, the head of STEM Center, University Malaya, resembling the head of projects, to present the introductions to the SFP Malaysia projects on the integration of STEM-related generic skill into TVET and skill training in Malaysia. Please welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yong Chan Chen, as the Master of Ceremonies today. I would like to say thank you to Mr. Kebur Azbaha and also Ms. Panada Bunpala, and also to our Prof. Stephanie, who we are honored for them to be able to join us in our session, the launching ceremony for today, and to Dr. Junichi Mori and Prof. Cheryl Motorello, thank you for your presentations, and also to Prof. Dr. Yong Zulina for our very strong supporter, and to all the participants. So today I'll be presenting. Hope you can hear my voice clearly. So let me share my screen. So I think the purpose of today's session is to launch our collaboration between University Malaya, ILO and UK in terms of conducting this project of integration of STEM related generic skills into TVET and skills training in Malaysia. So we are very honored as representing University Malaya to head this project. So as a background, we believe that the technical and vocational education and trainings plays a very significant role and a very important role in terms of human capital development across in any industries, not only in Malaysia and across the globe. So for us in Malaysia, we hope to provide these TVET students and skill trainees with skills and knowledge that shape them into effective and competitive individuals. This is to prepare them to address the demands of the smart industries and manufacturing towards the Industrial Revolution 4.0, which we are aware that these revolutions are largely shaped by the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education. So we believe that by having the STEM skills, it will equip these future workers with a deeper knowledge, a higher order thinking skills, and greater adaptability to new technologies in order for them not only to secure jobs, but also to remain competitive and also climb the ladders in their workspace. Thus, in order to increase this and to increase the employment and the career progression opportunities for these TVET and the skill trainees, we propose this project to integrate the STEM generic skill into TVETs and skill trainees. The aim of this objective is we would like to strengthen the generic skills related to STEM in TVET and skills training in order for us to help these TVET and skills training programs graduates acquire not only jobs in which they can utilize their skills, but also they can progress in their careers. And also, plus, we wanted them to be agile and mobile, even in the age of uncertainty due to the digital technology development, and also, for example, what we have happening now is the COVID-19 pandemic. We have listed 3 main objectives, where the first, we would like to promote the integration of STEM-related generic skills to TVETs and skills training programs related to 2 selected sectors, considering international trends and best practice. We would like to incorporate and mainstream STEM-related generic skills to TVET skills training to respond to future employer skills needs, including those related to Industrial Revolution 4.0. And our objective is to increase employment and career progression opportunities of TVET and skills trainees, particularly women and youth in the construction, manufacturing sectors with the acquisition of enhanced STEM-related generic skills. This project have 4 phases. So we are currently just beginning the first phase, where the scope of this project is for us to conduct and evaluate situational needs and needs analysis on STEM skills in food processing and construction related TVET and skills program for these following aspects. So what we are going to do, we are going to go through the whole picture holistically. We are going to go through the pre-existing standards and curriculum in food processing, manufacturing and construction, TVET or skills training related program. And what are the STEM skills requirements? For example, the problem solving, establishing relevance, design, innovation, digital competence, communication, collaboration, computational thinking, life and career and creativity. The needs analysis, the gaps between what the employer needs, and also like the TVET trainee and the good practices in the existing curriculum and program in food processing, manufacturing and construction. The third component that we are going to blend into our project is the related policies to STEM and TVET, plus the existing curriculum best practice standards, and also like the inclusiveness of STEM and TVET in the current program that we have here in the institution in Malaysia. The second phase of this project, once we got the situational and needs analysis data, we are going to design the STEM curriculum development guidelines and enhance the curriculum of TVET skills program with STEM skills. By saying the enhancement, we are talking about drafting the curriculum module development guidelines, which include the alignment of the learning outcomes to assessment, including the taxonomy level, the student learning time, the cost of module pro forma, information and the teaching schedules. And we also will develop the module for trainings of trainers and the program's pilot curriculum modules pertaining the STEM skills based on the situational and needs analysis for these two particular food processing, manufacturing and construction program. In the third phase, the developed curriculum, we are going to apply and implement that into a 2 pilots program. So we are going to conduct 2 pilots program in food processing and construction TVET and skills training related program, existing program. From the first pilot, we are going to enhance our revised curriculum modules, and we are going to conduct the second pilot as the same institutions. Once we have both the pilots conducted, we are going to consolidate and disseminate the results of the both pilots and the curriculum modules development. On the last phase of this project, the information or the input that we have gathered in phase 1, 2, and 3, we are going to synthesize the results and disseminate the pilot data, and we would like to write the policy recommendation. By having studying the efficacy of the pilots in terms of the employment and career progressions, opportunities in the future workplace, the employer satisfaction for the TVET trainees equipped with the STEM skills, we are going to develop the final version of the STEM curriculum development guidelines, including the national STEM taxonomy, curriculum development flow, model, curriculum documents, and we are going to develop the evidence-based policy recommendation on the integration of STEM into TVETs and skills, which consists of what are the lessons learned from our projects, and the toolkit and the manual of the integration of the STEM content into the TVET skills training, an action plan on how to embark this project into a larger scales of the STEM training model. Okay. We have started the first phase, we just started in August this year. So from there, we have conducted some preliminary discussions with our stakeholders, where we have conducted a focus group discussion, a preliminary focus group discussion with 8 industries, 4 of them coming from the food processing manufacturing and 4 from construction related sectors. And we also conducted a preliminary discussion from 7 TVET trainings in Malaysia, 3 from food processing and 4 from the construction related sectors. Through this initial discussion, we found out that the 2 most frequent competency or knowledge and skills that are needed by these industries, that we group them into the STEM competency under the knowledge and the skills, we realized that they would love to have our graduates to have a knowledge into data collection, data management, and data analysis strategies, which fall under the STEM competency of the computational thinking, and the skills that these students or these graduates can, if they have this, it will be helpful to the industries if they can collect and manage data or data sets. They can organize the data in appropriate visualizations such as graph, chart, words or images. And the second one is if this student or these graduates can be equipped with the graphic design and digital media marketing knowledge, and under the digital literacy competency, where we would like they would like to see if the students are able to design, create and revise digital content using different digital technologies, visual data using different techniques and tools. And we realized that from the feedback from these preliminary discussions, it is aligned with what Prof. Cheryl have shared and what other researchers have done or other projects that have done in other countries. But now how we want to embark this into integrate this into the current curriculum or the current program that we have in Malaysia. So our approach is, this is an example, the structure of the embedded modules. We're talking about curriculum modules because we are not talking about the entire structure of the curriculum for the TVET programs or the training programs that are already existing in Malaysia. So we embedded or integrate the inputs coming from our stakeholders, and also integrate with the in line with the policies, that existing policies in Malaysia. For example, for this module, we have 3 module learnings outcome, where the first module learnings outcome is to identify and arrange data from the real procurement record. Okay, this will fall under the cognitive domain, where the attributes is investigations. And the second module learning outcomes is to visualize the collected data using different techniques and tools which incorporate the IR 4.0 tools, which fall under the psychomotor domains. And the third is to present data in appropriate graph, charts, or any visualization methods to the stakeholders. This falls under the communications. So for example, the learning methods that we would like to share in the module is, of course, lecture, including the industrial lectures, where we are going to involve the stakeholders in this module. How the student be able to observe the data, the patterns, the trends in the workplace, and how they can match and visualize the data. And assessment method is the online quiz, the project report, oral presentations, and infographics. Okay, if you can see that by observing the data, the patterns, the students have to know the knowledge of STEM. So if you can see, while we're developing the modules, is actually in line with develop and identify based on the findings and the review and the surveys. So this module, what we are showing here, the example, is based on the NOS food preparation and production level 3, and based also on the MQF cluster 2 cognitive skills and cluster 3 functional work skills. And of course, we are going to update onto the learning method and assessment method based on the observation and feedbacks from the pilot studies. And we can see that these modules will be in line with the National Fourth Industrial Revolution for IR policy under the Strategy 3 Initiative 7 and the 1010 My STIE frameworks, the science and technology driver under the data discovery, and also under the STEM TVET curriculum guide and the 2021 ILO core work skills. So what we are doing here is we integrate not only the input coming from our existing policies in Malaysia, also the existing framework from the internationals, and also we are integrating it with what are the existing curriculum or the existing content in the TVET or the skills training program. So as for the outcome measures, we're looking towards short terms, medium terms, and long-term outcome measures, where, for example, in the short terms, we are looking at, for example, at the lecturers and students, where we are, of course, we are going to include other beneficiaries as well into our short term, but we're giving for the particular lecturers and students who actually join our both pilot studies, we are going to see what are the indicators that interest us that they have developed. in terms of the medium term, we would like to see the progress for the graduate student, for example, the cohort who undergone this module and the cohort that are following the existing module, and see whether the employer and whether they are able to progress in their career. And in long term, after maybe the graduate student working for a year, we would like to see what our industry employers, stakeholders, including the government agencies, how this can be translated into their policies and guidelines. Okay. So, while we are doing this is a pilot study, because when we say that we will conduct the modules into two specific program for the food processing and the manufacturing, and we are going to conduct into the selected pilots program existing TVET or training institution in Malaysia. But these projects should be replicable, scalable, and sustainable, where we wanted to develop a local models for us to integrate these STEM-related generic skills into TVET and skills training. So, as what Prof. Cheryl have presented, all the international comparative analysis, we are going to gather the feedbacks and the inputs from the international comparative analysis, also with the reference from the existing Malaysia policies, framework, agenda, strategic map related to TVET and STEM. Then from there, we are going to conduct the pilots that integrate the STEM skills into the enhanced TVET skills program, where we are going to develop the guidelines on how this can be conducted or can be embedded into other different modules with the reference of the stakeholder need and the best practices coming from the existing TVET and skills training program. And these can be replicated even though we conduct the pilots program into couples of existing TVET institutions, but these can always be replicated into other TVET skills training institutions. For this purpose, we focus on the construction and the food processing. However, once we go through with this, in order to sustain this model, we would like to develop a Malaysia STEM taxonomy and integrate into a TOT programs, where this can be scalable into other TVET and skills training programs in other sectors or other states. We hope that by having this model, we are going to have a model that ensure that our TVET and skill trainees are future ready, and means is regardless whatever skills that will come in the future. So because this is going to be a very scalable and very agile, flexible model. So in terms of like by doing this, we are going to make sure that at least our TVET skills will always be ready, whatever future endeavor that come to them. Okay, so we believe that our projects will give contributions not only to the beneficiaries but to the countries as well. So we believe that the integration of STEM-related generic skills in TVET trainings is going to open more flexible and open system that should be able to facilitate the fast-changing requirements for this particular case, especially for the construction and service manufacturing like food processing. And this project should be able to give a valuable insight on the situational and need analysis, not only based on the policies, also based on the workforce or the industrial needs, or also the best practice curriculum that related to STEM and TVET. And here we focus in food processing, manufacturing, and construction. And we are offering a contribution towards the integration of STEM-related generic skills in specifically training into the food processing, manufacturing, and construction, plus the training of trainers in this, how to integrate the STEM-related generic skills. So the project will also provide the understandings on how STEM skills can increase the employment and the career progression opportunities of TVET and skills trainees, particularly youth in the age of 18 to 25 years old, women, and other beneficiaries vulnerable groups. And these projects are also in line with the 12 Malaysia Plan 2021-2025, where our Prime Minister just mentioned yesterday, we want to build towards a future-ready TVET skills training. Thank you, and I would like to pass to Dr. Chen Chen.
Thank you, Senior Dr. Mas. For the information introductions to this partnership between STEM-related generic skill into TVET and skill training, and we wish the brief introduction signify the transition into the stipulated outcome. Honorable participants, we will be taking a short 5 minutes break before the upcoming discussions on today's topic, discussion on STEM integrations in TVET skill. Stay tuned and we'll be back shortly after 5 minutes. To all participants, we are more than delighted to receive your questions during the sessions. For audiences in the Webex, you may kindly type in your questions in the chat box or use the reaction button to raise hand to speak during the Q&A sessions. While for the audiences watching via YouTube, you may also type in your questions in the live chat features, and our secretariat will be importing the questions there too. Respected participants and distinguished guests, we are now back for an intense discussions on today's topic entitled STEM Integration in TVET Skill in conjunction with our launching ceremony. Introducing our list of panelists, Dr. Junichi Mori, Chief Technical Advisor, SFP Malaysia, Professor Dr. Sherilyn Monterola, Director of National Institute for Science and Mathematics Education Developments, Insigne Dr. Mas Shahidayana Mokhtar, the head of SENS Center. This session will be moderated by Professor Dr. Yong Zulina binti Zubairi, Associate Vice Chancellor, International University Malaya. Without further ado, I will hereby pass the virtual stage to Professor Dr. Yong Zulina to moderate this discussion. Please welcome.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Yong Chen Chen. Ms. Panuda Bompala, the Deputy Director of ILO Regional Office. Professor Stephanie Pillay, representing the top management of University Malaya. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. Once again, on behalf of the organizing committee, please allow me to express our deep appreciation to all those present in this session. On that note, I will be moderating this session, but please allow me to formally introduce the presence of representatives from various bodies in this session. I would like to welcome Dr. Zulhilmi Muhammad Ashari, the representatives from the Ministry of Human Resource. We also have Datuk Shahrudin Abdul Sohud, the Undersecretary of the Policy, Planning and Research Division, Ministry of Higher Education. Puan Shahnaz Shahizan, the representative from the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. Dr. Aziati Yusof, the representative from the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Datuk Haji Samsudin Badan, the Executive Director of Malaysia Employer Federation. Last but not least, Mr. Andrew Ong, the Deputy Chairman too of Master Builders Association Malaysia from the Education Committee. Welcome. We are truly humbled by your presence in this session. Right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have seen the presentations, the expectations from ILO. We have seen how this is taking shape within the global landscape from the presentation from Professor Cheryl. And you have seen the outline, the planning from Dr. Mas. So our session here is to deep dive and see how else can we look into as we embark into this exciting journey. So on that note, I would like to bring to the spotlight Dr. Junichi Mori. You have seen the presentation from Dr. Mas. And I am really intrigued by your presentation where you're talking about the future of work, really looking at closing the gap on the skills demand and the skill supply of a particular country. So looking at the presentation of Dr. Mas, looking at two very unique sectors in Malaysia, if you can share your thoughts and perhaps some advice for us to move forward on this project. So over to you. Yes. If you could comment on the presentation and addressing your presentation earlier on. So over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Yong. So actually, suddenly line was a little break when I'm hearing your question. So yeah, this is a problem we often face. But so can I ask basically my comment about the future of work, or what will happen in the future, and then what will be the advice? Am I correct? Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me it's quite challenging questions. It's I think it's really difficult to answer. So about the future of work, future of the job, as you may see from various reports or even ILO's literatures, there will be some change in the long term, definitely. Like even the construction sectors, in here in Malaysia, we are discussing about do we need to promote like skills for the building information modeling to change the way, or even like how about the possibility of the 3D printing? So like, or how to promote automations, like carrying heavy stuff. Even in my home countries, when I was there in the summer leave, I saw a lot of the news because there will be the workforce shortage in the construction sector. So how we automate the process. So those discussions there. And then in the manufacturing sector, including the food processing sector, definitely the automation will be needed, particularly for the country who have how to say, who have an aging society, like including Japan, and then so there will be the change in the long term. But if I see the short term and then the medium time view, I think the process is not like a linear process, but a bumpy process, and then quite a mixed view. Like I was reading recent economist articles. So I saw, of course, there will be some like change, and then some occupation or job will be lost in the future. But the article say like, yes, automation is proceeding, but there is no clear evidence job is lost. And then even some companies are not really promoting automation. So it's really mixed view. So it's a future. It's very difficult to foresee, but what I see is two trends. First, like innovation or change is coming incrementally. Like if I look at automation, for me, some technologies are not entirely new. Sensor, programmable logic control, maintenance. All those technologies are existing but need to be upgraded. But on the other hand, there is some radical change or path-breaking change. Like for me, like big data, IoT, those or AI, those things are new. So we better to look at the both sides. We shouldn't be too afraid of the changes because some are like incremental change based on what we already know and then what we are doing. But we also need to look at something new, which is how to say, we need to have a sort of path break thinking. So it's really better to look at both sides. So let's future is really unknown in the end. So, but we try to predict in a various way. But so let's not be too afraid. But let's look at new technology. And then for young generation, I think it's more really important to maintain the curiosity and then let them to do the trial and error opportunity. Otherwise, it's very difficult to learn the new things. Actually, same for my generation too. We shouldn't be afraid trial and error. So that's my general comment. I hope I'm answering to your question. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Jinji. Yes, so true. I'm just going to take your term, breaking the glass ceiling. So allowing them to have the trial and error, allowing them to experiment, moving into a very fast changing sphere, looking at automation, 3D printing, like you said, really it's in the top end, right? Thank you very much. So we take note of that. Right. The next one, I would like to pose a question to Professor Cheryl. Thank you. You gave a really compendium, an overview of the whole skill sets needed in TVET in different parts of the world. And in your presentation, you have shared with us, you have to working on the TVET curriculum guide, but not only that, but also have a guidebook solely for the trainer as well as the student workbook. Looking at Dr. Ma's presentation, this is exactly what she's planning to do. If you could share with us what was the challenges so that we will not be making the same mistake and what are the critical success factor, for her to move forward on this one. So on that note, over to you, Prof. Sharon.
Thank you, Dr. Yong, Professor Dr. Yong, for the question, and I'm very happy to see you again. Regarding our experience in the Philippines, admittedly, we had some challenges as we implemented the STEM and TVET. But one of the key success factors for the STEM and TVET work that we are doing is that the buy-in of the different agencies that we are working with. The Technical Education Skills Development Authority in the Philippines, when we explained how valuable really is STEM in light of the global trends and in light of the different frameworks, they were really receptive to this idea. And they assisted us in terms of how we can align these ideas coming, let's say, from the academia and from the industry to what's really needed by the agency. So it's good that they have accepted that we are not really appending what they have, but it's actually reinforcing what's already there. That STEM is intuitive in TVET. It's a matter of surfacing what these skills are and how this can be, further strengthened through other STEM learning activities, STEM-oriented learning activities. Because when we introduce the templates to them, like the invention algorithm, they're not familiar with the invention algorithm. But when we tried to immerse, let's say, the curriculum developers and the trainers, and let them experience how invention algorithm can be applied or can be portable to any training regulation, they were able to quickly realize it. And it's one of the things that is easily featured in the different trainers' guides and student workbooks that we do. For example, it's a different version for cookery, but it's still featured, for example, in organic agriculture. But it's the same method of invention, substitution, combination, and so on. But they were able to contextualize it such that it will work within their training or within the context. Another thing is, of course, in investments in the different professional development. So all the way from, in total, basically, is stakeholder collaboration and engagement. We really need the partnership to move forward. The newest development in the Philippines is that the TESDA, coming from our work with them, is now initiating what you call a technical working group for STEM and TVET within the agency, which will soon develop the policy for STEM and TVET in the Philippines. And we are happy with this development. They have recognized the strengths that we have done on the ground, and they would like to sustain what we have done so far, so that it will really be integrated in the current situation or the current system that they have. So I guess with that, the presence of the different agencies right now, I know when I was looking at this project, I looked at the TVET and I looked at the different agencies with initiatives and programs for TVET. And here in this current situation, we have different agencies present. And later on, it would be very good. It would be critical to the success of the program if these different agencies will come together and also see the value added of this program to theirs, not really appending what they have, but taking what's relevant, taking what's strong for their own context, and together it can be consolidated into what you call a synergy of these efforts on integrating STEM and TVET. Thank you, Dr. Yang.
Thank you very much, Prof. Cheryl. So there you go, Dr. Mas, really trying to listen to all the stakeholders, bring in all the relevant stakeholders, need to get the buy-in, get their thoughts, and then once we have their thoughts on this one, align, as what Prof. Cheryl meant, not really appendage to what they are doing, but rather, working together in tandem for a common goal. So Dr. Mas, we have representatives from different agencies in Malaysia. So what's your strong message to them to get the buy-in, and what are the critical areas you feel that, you know, you need their help on this one? Over to you, Dr. Mas.
Thank you very much, Prof. Yong. And first and foremost, I think I would like to say I'm very grateful because like I have a kind of like mentors like Prof. Cheryl's. I have a good uh, like Dr. Junichi's, and we have a very good support coming from the University of Malaya. And plus, actually, when we embark into this project, when we start contacting the stakeholders, including the government agencies, we got a very good and positive feedbacks. Which is why I believe today we can see that the representatives are here with us today to support this project. So through that, I can see like, because I believe like when we do the presentation and when we explain these projects to our stakeholders, not only the industrial sides, also from the government side and also for the institution itself, they can see the importance of this project and how this will benefit to the students. So which is why we have like, even though it's just started in August, we've managed to conduct a few series of discussion where the attendance are very promising, and we got quite a very fruitful inputs coming from these varieties of stakeholders. Okay, on top of that, I believe that once we have embarked into this project, we will keep or we will enhance the communication between all the stakeholders, because we can see that in Malaysia, we have a very good policies. We have a very good frameworks. Even like the curriculums that we go through, the content of the curriculums are good and is very thoughtful in terms of like when they're designing the curriculums. And also from our stakeholders in from the industries, we have a very supporting industries where when we ask them, they're really supporting into like wanted to enhance the career progressions of the employer, wanted to helps our graduates coming from TVET industries for them to progress in their careers. So what we would like to have is how to integrate all these things and to link all these partners and come up with a model that is a, like I think Dr. Junichi was saying, like win-win situation to all, and to actually like take advantage with one to another. Because like we see that there's a good input coming from certain policies and so on, but if we do not integrate with the other policies, with the other curriculum, or with the others like industrial stakeholders, so might be the implementation wise from only one policies or only one curriculum structures is not optimized enough to actually assist or to enhance our TVET graduates. So I hope that these projects we can come up with this integrated model. Together we are going to work together, and we can help our countries to achieve a better outcome in terms of our TVET graduates and also like our STEM education in Malaysia. Thank you, Prof. Yong.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mas. Right. You have a very clear idea of where this work is heading. And I think we, as a researcher, academicians, we have seen this again and again. At the end of the day, it's really measuring impact of this project. So what are the marked changes? Something tangible for the people out there. I think as it is right now, we have in the audience from different ministries, and they are looking at, so where is the impact? How do we measure impact? Right. So on that note, I would like to bring to the spotlight the representative from all the different ministries to come forward and give your feedback from the presentation that has been given by Dr. Mas. So perhaps if allow me to call upon Dr. Zulhilmi Muhammad Ashari, the representative from the Ministry of Human Resource. So perhaps Dr. Zul, you have seen the presentation from Dr. Mas. You have seen her plan on this one, perhaps a word of caution or perhaps alignment that needs to be done. As what Cheryl has mentioned, we need to get your buy-in, we need to align. If you could share with us your thoughts and perhaps some of the critical success factor that we must take into account. So on that note, over to you, Dr. Zul.
Thank Prof. Yong, Dr. Junichi, Dr. Cheryl, Dr. Mas, and all of the representatives from other stakeholders today. First of all, I would like to congratulate the ILO, British High Commission, and also for embarking on, I think this is important initiative to look at the integration of STEM generic skills into TVET. And I believe this important way to see how TVET and STEM can we can bridge STEM and TVET together in terms of generic skills to benefit the development of more effective and productive workforce, focusly on embracing challenges of new emerging economic environment. And for the way forward, I think to implement this initiative, of course, we need to understand a very, very clear demarcation and also definition of what TVET is and also what the STEM is, so that this clear definition will give us an idea on how to bridge STEM and TVET very seamless. So I think this project also I hope this project also will provide some answers to a very important questions such as how does this integration will suit for lower TVET, or for higher TVET, because as you can see in German system, the integration of TVET also they have the integrate the STEM and STEM generic skills into TVET, but they are focusing on the higher level, such as level 7 and level 8. So how we are going to integrate this STEM STEM generic skill into TVET. And secondly is we also need to know the level of our students' generic skills in terms of TVET and also the STEM generic skill, so that we can plan a very strategic objective to integrate the STEM into TVET. And maybe I also can suggest in terms of the trainers, we should take into account the availability or the how can these trainers can transfer the generic skills, the TVET, the STEM generic skill into TVET. So I think we have to also develop our trainers to make this initiative successful. And finally, from our side, Department of Skills Development, Ministry of Human Resources, we will always provide strong support to this effort for the good of TVET and also for our country. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zul. Right, we are really appreciative of the points that you have shared with us. So on that note, Dr. Mas, really, we are looking at the way how to integrate what's our target, looking at the low TVET and high TVET. We have to be mindful of that. And also, I agree as what Dr. Zul has mentioned. We want to do the intervention, we need to have that level. So we need to have the the present level they are, the benchmark at least, yeah, so that we can know what are the skills gap. The third and but not the least, although, okay, we are with the main aim of having these guidebook, where Dr. Zul has really mentioned, it is really training the trainers who are going to make sure the guide would have prepared really worked to the target group. Thank you very much, Dr. Zul. Right, now we move on to the second one. Again, on behalf of the committee, I would like to bring to the spotlight Dr. Shahrudin Abu Sohod, the Under-Secretary, Policy and Planning and Research Division, Ministry of Higher Education, Malaysia. So, Dr. Shahrudin, my question is, the Ministry of Higher Education, we kind of like compartmentalize when we talk about TVET. It's really very much on the, it's the college community or even, you know, the polytechnic, when universities will be producing the ones at the managerial level. So that it is in the structure itself, we kind of segregate. So again, looking at the planning from Dr. Mas, perhaps Dato, if you could share with us your thoughts on this one, and perhaps some of the key factors that the team might have mislooked. So on that note, Dato, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Professor Young Zulina. Actually, we have 2 points here I want to mention. Number one is we must look supply and demand actually, because we must know what market need or what the industry need, and then from there we must develop our syllabus and our subject, and then we must always together with industry actually, and we must communicate with industry every time. We cannot separate with industry. And then actually our graduate employability, if we compare TVET graduate and non-TVET graduate, actually TVET graduate is more higher than non-TVET graduate, the graduate employability. And then one more thing is about the promotion. We must promote TVET actually in our country. Nowadays, generally, our student look TVET is second choice, not the first choice actually. That's why we must promote TVET, so student put TVET as a first choice. That's 2 points I want to mention here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dato. So Dr. Mas and the team, really, when we start working on the, you know, the work, the framework, we really need to be scrutinizing the mismatch, if there is any, on the supply and demand. Yeah. And I think once again, Dato has mentioned, really, as we start to in the inception of the framework, we must consistently be working together with the industry. It cannot be that, you know, when we hatch everything and at the end we get their feedback. It doesn't work that way. They have to be working alongside with us. Yeah. And Dato, I truly agree with you. The perception of the public out there, TVET is really the second choice. But then again, taking on Prof. Junichi point, is that if the career pathway, the career progression, where the breaking of the glass ceiling is there, perhaps that could actually change the whole mindset of the whole community. There might be some students is going straight for the tertiary education at the managerial level, but there are some who actually would like to have a career progression where the breaking of the glass ceiling is very clear, where they can actually grow up in the ladder at whatever sector they are working on. Yeah. Thank you very much, Dato. So, right. Next, I would like to bring to the spotlight Puan Shahnaz. Puan Shahnaz Shahizan is the representatives from the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. MOSTI has been working very closely with most universities, and some of the framework has been done. Now, you have been working with universities on a framework, on a playbook, on policy. Now, you have seen presentation from Dr. Mas. So we appreciate your thoughts on this one. How do we make the policy work? If you could provide us some guidelines or some of the critical success factor that we must be mindful as we proceed into this project. So over to you, Shahnaz.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Yong. Assalamualaikum, Salam Sejahtera, and good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Dr. Junichi, and also Prof. Cheryl. So I already learned something new today, where in actuality, what we've always wanted to do, we have wanted analytical, creative, and critical thinking in our graduates or even in our scholarship receivers. So it's actually considered as STEM skills. Hence, this is actually a very good opportunity for us to make sure that that happens. And we would really like to see it in terms of collaboration between ministries rather than in silos of one ministry is taking into account STEM, or others TVET, and so forth. And because unfortunately that still happens here in Malaysia. And that is the major thing that will make sure that our policies are being implemented as we have identified, even as our advice to scholarship givers, that these are needed in our students, but who are the ones who are supposed to give it? So we have not identified, we have a few people who actually can provide this training for this, but it may not be as comprehensive to provide the training nationwide. So it's actually essential for preparation of the future of work, and to also, especially in the adaptation of emerging technologies, as you're well aware, under MOSTI, we're highlighting the importance of IoT, AI, machine learning, and so forth. But this will definitely be reinforced by STEM, by using STEM into TVET. So we're looking forward to this. And also, if there's a possible method of thinking where we look towards the preparation of crisis management and possibility of any future pandemic or future crisis. That's why we basically look forward to learning from other countries, your best practices. Even Philippines is now, I'm very impressed. Thank you very much. And also we want to develop our own comprehensive and complete STEM into TVET program plannings and guidelines. So I believe this is the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Puan Shahnaz, for your take on this one. So Dr. Mas, do take note, yeah. We have done the first step, bringing in all the different ministries in Malaysia, you know, in this virtual platform. So what's next? This is definitely not the first and the last. We must be engaging them. We must be sharing any, you know, findings, our next move, so that they can actually give a shout out and say, okay, are we going in the right direction and addressing all the needs from the different ministries? Yeah. Puan Shahnaz, you bring to an issue that is very relevant today, really some skill sets that really become very important. Before pandemic, you know, people have been talking about RF 4.0, but with the pandemic, new skill sets must come in, really dehumanizing some of the skill set factors, yeah, having to have that resilience. So Dr. Mas, this is something that we must put into that, yeah. The whole ecosystem, Prof. Cheryl has actually mentioned and has shared some of these elements that are present in some of the skills that has been done by different countries, yeah. Right, thank you very much. So I would like to call upon the next is Dr. Aziati Yusof, the representative from the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Yeah, right. So the Ministry of Youth and Sports really looking at sports, and here we are looking at TVET graduates, and then looking at, we are playing with two sectors on the food industry as well as the manufacturing. But I'm very sure you know, you might be coming from a different field that we are all in. So if you could share your thoughts on this one, how can we improve this proposal? How can we touch the lives and make a difference to the youth? So perhaps on that note, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Dr. Yong Zulina. So we have Dr. Juni Chimori, Prof. Dr. Sherilyn, and Dr. my name is Azia.
If you can crank up your volume a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
You can, yeah, I got signal from here today said they cannot hear my, my voice. Okay, my name is Aziati from Ministry of Youth and Sports. Thank you for having us for today's launching ceremony. Indeed, thank you for inviting us to be part of this project too. We are looking forward to implement this project. We have under Ministry of Youth and Sports, we have two main elements, the youth and the sports, not only the sports. So we are managing the youth to the development of youth in terms of their skills and related activities, and the skills have both have the hard skills and also the soft skills in terms of their character building. So that's what the Ministry of Youth and Sports Policy been doing. So for this project, we are nominating one TVET institution to implement the construction and I think the construction and food processing areas, right? We can see that there's a great need in the alignment of STEM and TVET, especially to the youth. It is giving them new paradigm. It is giving us, even we are looking forward. We are looking that future leaders are in need for these new paradigms of learning environment. Right? Meaning like we've been discussing by the post-pandemic era, like we have been mentioning from the beginning of this discussion, it is indeed a challenge to uphold the original method of learning and teaching in the traditional pedagogical approaches with the one-to-one method of between the teacher and the students, right? But if we think we are not ready to use the latest technology to be treated as the mainstream of learning system, but we have to think from the viewpoints of the youth. And it's actually, they are ready with this the use of the latest technology in their learning environment. So we are to embrace this thought that today's generations are ready for that. It's only for us to do the changes, right? So it requires us, the school and the education practitioners, to adapt to these changes and evolution, and we have to prepare the future leaders in the way they are able to perceive the learning environment. Yeah, and then from the viewpoints of where about the STEM implementation of STEM in TVET, we can see that STEM would be able to provide the constructive formulation and data to a certain project or study that we are doing, while TVET or the skills would be a good platform as the performance measurement on how far the formulation or ideas that on the findings that we have, or the breakthrough that we have through the STEM education, right? So how far we can implement them from STEM to TVET, right? And then secondly, we can also agree that in a bigger picture, STEM and TVET should work hand in hand. Yeah? It shows that there's a proof in ideas. From ideas, it can be materialized, right? It can be delivered, right? So it's not. It's like the phrase of we walk the talk, right? We have the ideas, but how far can we make it to work, right? So it's good that we can harmonize these two themes from the STEM and TVET. So as representative from Ministry of Youth and Sports today, we are hoping that this project can work and successfully delivered and can fulfill the goals and objectives. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Aziati. So there you go, yeah? So really looking at the similarity, the synergies between TVET and STEM. And Dr. Aziati has mentioned really getting the youth to use the technology in their vocation. as it is, they are already digital natives. I have to agree with you, Dr. Ziati. But really using that knowledge into the vocation, into their workplace, and add value and communicating it effectively, yeah, at the workplace. Thank you very much. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we also have representatives from the industry. So next, I would like to call upon Datuk Haji Samsudin Badan, the Executive Director of Malaysian Employers Federation. So Datuk, you have seen the presenters from the academic, from the researchers, you have seen the input from the different agencies at administrative level. So it's exciting now. We are looking forward your thoughts on this one as you represent the Malaysia Employers Federation. We hear again and again the skills gaps, the mismatch and things like that. So looking at the presentation of Dr. Mas, can you share with us or some advisory notes for us to at least narrow the skill gaps if there's any? So over to you, Dato'. You are still muted, Dato'. We can't seem to hear.
Terima kasih Profesor Yong. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Professor Sharin Lin, Professor Mas, and Dr. Junichi, the panelists, and also, of course, the fellow respondents. Thank you for inviting MEF to be with this particular session. Of course, listening to the presentations thus far, to be frank, I'm worried. In the sense that we're talking about a lot of high technical jargon. And of course, to the TVET students, I'm talking more about students and also the skill, trainees, they are, I would say, very, I think allergic to those kind of jargons that we use. Say for example, Professor Lin had used the word intervention algorithm. I for one had not really heard about that particular word. And what more, you're talking to TVET student to say that this is part of what STEM is. I would say that, in my humble opinion, which should, when we go down to the students, to the trainers, I think we should be able to actually break up all those kind of jargons to simple words. And of course, to actually break up those technical terms into something which is more palatable, which is easier to implement, smaller chunks, so that the students, the trainees, will be able to actually absorb it, not to be actually, worried about what you call as STEM thing like that. What is important is for us to really adopt the principle and adapt the principles to their learnings. And mind you, here, basically, we're not just talking about those people in TVET, which is of higher standard. We're also talking about those people in skills training. The one which is lower. And of course, this is, I think, very critical for us to really make sure that they actually have the required knowledge about STEM, possibly not realizing that actually they are using STEM, for the. So for example, some of the students, some of the trainees may just want to take up TVET because they don't like STEM at all. Say for example, you ask me, I'm allergic to STEM. That's why I don't take up any technical thing earlier. I just prefer to go to law, for example, where they don't ask me about technical things. They just talk and argue, things like that. And of course, the other part is basically what is important is, for us to look at the situation now. You see that all the employers in the construction sector, in the manufacturing sector, including food processing, we are crying about shortage of workers. Are we talking about shortage of TVET students or skilled people? We are really not talking about those things now, but we are talking about shortage of the foreign workers, because our local workers are not interested to fill up all these positions. We are talking about, that's why I think Yesterday or today, we still hear MEF talking about trying to get more foreign workers to fill up our needs. But of course, we do understand that the RMK2F talks about limiting the number of foreign workers in the country. And of course, until now, we still have a freeze on the recruitment of new foreign workers. And that, of course, led to a lot of, I would say, hitches in the economic recovery. But that is beside the point. But what is important is that, of course, with all these policies of the government trying to reduce the number of foreign workers, we need to automate, we need to move on and meet the new requirements of the economy. That means that we need to really adopt higher technology, things like that. And this is where perhaps, when you talk about future of work, these people that actually are being trained together with STEM qualities will be able to meet up with the requirements of the industries, and not in the so far, I would say, time, maybe about 2 or 3 years from now, then they are ready to fill up this gap. Because we don't want to have a situation where, yes, we invested a lot in terms of new technology, things like that, but we don't have the people to operate the new technology. That, I think, is something that shouldn't happen. So if we are being given the understanding that, yes, these are the ready pool of employees that with the skill and required capabilities, then you employers invest in new technology and these people are yours. Then, of course, that I think is something like trying to close the gap of mismatches that we have. Yeah, I would say that I just leave it at that level. Thank you very much for giving me the space.
Thank you very much, Dato'. I've got a lot of questions. I'm sure everybody has got a lot of questions. Yes, true enough. For us at the at the university, the language that we use really must be be looked at. Do away the jargon. Otherwise, we're going to scare everybody away. With this thing. Thank you very much, Dato'. But definitely, we will need to come back to you because you have brought in very important points there. But before that, please allow me to bring to the spotlight, last but not least, another important representatives from the Masters Builder Association Malaysia, Mr. Andrew Ong, the Deputy Chairman too of the Masters Builders Association Malaysia. Right, so this is one sector, as what Dato' has mentioned, really heavy reliance on foreign workers and looking at responding to the present situation right now in the recovery plan. So what other things that our team must be mindful as we chart into this program? So over to you, Andrew.
Thank you, Professor Yong. First of all, I want to thank the organizing committee, University Malaysia STEM, ILO, and also funded by UK. Thank you for inviting Master Builders for this session. So far, the presentation by all the speakers, Dr. Junichi, Dr. Cheryl, Dr. Mas, has been very insightful for me. I believe the insights will be very useful to chart a better future for the construction industry, especially during this pandemic, right? I think all the businesses are reeling over this, trying to recover, going back to the drawing board to look at how can we restart or recover from all the setbacks that we had encountered. So going back to, I just like to echo, in fact, the responses from the three responses, Dato' Shahrudin, especially for construction industry in particular. The demand and supply is extremely important. And as everybody know, and also echoed by Dato' from MEF, as in the migrant workers. I like to refer them as migrant workers because construction is very physical. What is it in TVET that can address the replacement of migrant workers whether it's at SKM level 2 or level 3, even level 1 to a certain extent, but how the industry and the government can be on the same page that yes, we still need migrant workers. I believe plantation industry is similar, yet there is what do you call a phased program where it can be eventually reduced. Okay, so again, I like the point that what Dr. Zola from DSD has mentioned, low TVET, high TVET. I believe for construction, we probably still looking at low TVET, but the universities are looking at the higher level of BIM and all that. But for what can we do for the migrant workers in the industry? What can local workers do? For example, there's a big number going to the gig economy, as in if I use Grab, Food Panda. I'm not saying that's no good, but how can TVET address this? That really for construction industry, for that matter, manufacturing or even plantation, there is a career path in this respect. So once again, and I like the word Dr. Juniti said, breaking the glass ceiling. Okay, how can low TVET or even equipping with high TVET that this local youth or even the ladies or women, the gender, that can break this glass ceiling, starting at a lower level, but yet opportunities are big for them and even become an entrepreneur, just like the migrant workers. Okay, so that's what I believe for me, the construction industry is facing. The funding and investment, the investment and funding has to be appropriate to the business. Okay, sometimes even BIM is too big an investment for many MSMEs. Okay, so where do we begin as in low TVET and preparing the higher TVET for bigger roles in the fourth IR? Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be in this session. And I thank ILO's and STEM for this project. We hope to be able to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Again, once again, Andrew, you put us, in the situation where we are right now. I mean, like I said, as educators, we are very much into the framework, into the philosophy, but really don't really have a very good reality check on where we are right now. How do we meet to address the problem, the situation right now? Yeah, thank you very much on that. What is clear, Dr. Mas, it's really the career progression, the career pathway, the clarity on that. For example, if we have the migrant workers, if there is there an avenue for career progression? Is there any job waiting if he or she progresses up there in the scale? So that is something that we need to be looking at again on gig economy as well. Yeah, they could be at the lowest level, but how do they move forward? What are the pathway? What are the opportunities? It has to be set out very clearly for them to pick and choose if they want to improve the quality of life for each and every one of them. Right. Thank you very much, everyone, for the input. Now, I shall open to the floor for anybody for your thoughts. Once again, this is really a sharing session because it will be very useful for us as we move on into this project. So on that note, if you look at your computer, at the bottom, there's the reaction and there's where you can raise your hand. So by all means, please raise your hand if you want to share your thoughts on this session. Some points that we must might have missed out, or if you are having a low bandwidth, please put in the chat so that we can okay, there's some questions. Hold on here. The career progression has been discussed and clarified through MBT and BEM framework. Okay, we take note of that. So I shall open to anyone here to share their thoughts on this one. We do, once again, we do appreciate any comments, or even if you have questions, if you would like to seek clarity on the presentations or even some of the points raised by the respondents in this session. I shall open. Perhaps Dr. Junishi, you have, I would like to bring you to the spotlight. Okay. In this session, we have bring forward some of the thoughts from the different ministries as well as the industry. You at the ILO have worked this in many different countries. So looking at their feedback on this one, perhaps you could share your reaction to what they have, some of the issues that they have raised.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dr. Yon. So actually, all the comments are very valuable and then make sense, to be honest. So, well, I may need to repeat some important point, like Dr. Zul mentioned, like we want, it's really important to know like how to integrate a seminar, not only higher Tibet and then lower Tibet, and then this actually closely connect to Dr. Shamsudin and Mr. Andrew said. So this is something actually we really want to work together with our partner, University Malaya. So yeah, because actually this is a personal challenge I face in my career in the private sector, but also in the Tibet. Yeah, one thing is some of the Tibet students like allergic to the STEM. That's true, but I see they're curious. Simply, they actually Datuk Shamsin said they allergic about the jargon. Sounds very difficult, but they're curious about the technology. So simply, it's really important to let them know in an easy way. I think that's something like Dr. Cheryl can help us, to be honest. So that's why like making them curious about the so-called STEM skills in their world is very important. And then again, like working on like a lower level Tibet is really important. And then I hope we can work on this together with our industry partners. And then also DSD, Ministry of High, MOHR, and then also MOH too. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, just I'm really learning a lot and then quite impressed by many comments. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Yon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Dr. Mas, I would like you to bring you to the spotlight. Okay, you have presented your work. People from the different ministry have put their comments as well from the industry. So based on your comments and industry, is there what's your message out there? What are the things that you would like to put into place, and what are your expectations from their end in making sure that this project really do make a change? Yeah. Okay. Over to you, Dr.
Thank you,
Mas.
Prof. Yong. And actually, I'm very happy to get all those feedbacks coming from like the government agencies and also coming from the industrial stakeholders. And it has triggered us to become more innovative in terms of like conducting these projects. So I believe the gist is there, the content is there. It's just like how this can be translated into all the level, from level 1, the lower level to the higher level Tibet, how to communicate this. So the students or the trainees can benefit from this, and they will also like be excited and know that this is like see the importance of this into their trainings. So this is I got quite a good number of points, and I realized that we also have to explore the way of the teaching and learning not only like having focusing on a certain methods only. So it has to be varied, it has to be holistic, where we know that some of the students, they are sometimes they're learning through their kinesthetic skills, they're learning through their experience rather than learning through a classroom setting and so on. So all this is very important for us to when we develop the module and also the guideline later on. And from all these constructive and very important like comments, we I like to have like one, I think from Dr. Aziati was say about future leaders. So these TVET trainees are also like, yes, sooner or later they are going to become leaders to some institutions, some companies, some workplace, and so on. Whether they either or they are even in their family members, right? Because I think yesterday our Prime Minister also talking about the families and so on. So it is triggered to us. We are also going to add that another branch of our focus group discussion, we wanted them to really say what they need and what they want. So we also like add on top of like currently we have the industries, we have the curriculum owners, we are going to add on in terms of the student themselves. We are going to add on onto the potential students that before they're enrolling into any TVET program, so we can see like what's their direction and what's the thought that they are going to have after they completed a certain TVET trainings. So I think that that's very important things that we're going to take notes. And yes, and I think in terms of like when this is like what we've seen even in Malaysia, we know that most of this younger generation, they are more like technical savvy, like as compared to the other generations. But how does this technical savvy, or how these techniques or this competency that developed by their own can be used into like enhancing when they are into the workforce? And plus I'm also like when Mr. Andrew was saying how we can expand the the construction works, and we are talking about JC, gender equality, and so on. So all this we are going to take notes and be like carefully deliberated into our projects. And of course we would love to have all the panels here and all the respondents who attend our launching session to become the members, or to give further and more detailed inputs towards this project. Okay, thank you, Prof. Yong.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Mas. I'm just reading through the chat, and Aisha has made some comments here. If please allow me, Aisha, I would shout out for you if you do not mind to say a few words. You have put in the chat saying that, well, yes, the breaking the glass ceiling is something that has been discussed in MBOT and it has been formalized. So if you could share with us what are the problems, if there's any, what are the gaps, what are the shortfalls? And then another one, Aisha, you did mention that we talked about career progression. You also mentioned that, yes, it has been put in place in MBT and BEM framework. But then again here, if you could share the progress of how much of this career progression, pathway, the uptake, and if there is any critical factor that we must take into account as we embark on this project. Aisha?
Thank you very much, Prof. Yong, and hi everybody. I think I've met Mr. Junichi before, and I have a little bit of exposure with the ministry. So what I would like to contribute here is that when Mr. Junichi actually show us how we can basically through this project break the glass ceiling. This is actually something that we have discussed when we were at that time trying to formalize MBOT, which is currently now in the system. And as I think we are all aware, in Malaysia, MBOT is supposed to be the board regulating the TVET sectors. When at the beginning of not really at the beginning, but it has been taught for quite some times about how can we gap between the pure engineers and also the so-called engineering technologies. How can we close their gap? So we have already actually thought and discussed in great detail how can, for example, an engineering technologies go through a process so that they can switch from being engineering technologies to pure engineers, and how can a pure engineers switch to an engineering technologist. We have also not only look at how it can be done horizontally, we have also actually been brainstorming and talking about how can they move up vertically and also across. Although this discussion has been quite some time, has long been discussed and debated, I do not know how far in terms of implementation, because as I think you're all aware, in Malaysia, our TVET sectors have many providers. So higher learning institution is not the main providers of TVET sectors. Therefore, I think perhaps the discussion is still going on, and how much those ideas has been put into practice and being implemented is something that I do not know what the current situation is. I think as what Cheryl mentioned, that I think the main challenges is actually the buy-in, and especially when you have so many TVET providers and you would like to put them into one basket and agree on something that we would like to do for the country. It's just not really that easy, and I think it takes a lot of time and effort, and it needs to be coordinated. I think this is where we need to have a strong movement, not only driven by the ministry, but I think it need to be, we need to share a common belief and value system. Then only I suppose it can be done. So that is roughly what we had actually in Malaysia about trying to break the glass ceiling, and we have already seen that. I think we are all aware, not only that we have seen this, we are all aware that in the fourth IR and also in the current situation with the pandemic, that actually creating emerging trends, there shouldn't be any more divergent, and we have been talking about convergence of discipline, and basically we are still looking at TVET and also pure engineering or STEM as something separate, and they are not converged, and they should not be diffused together to make everything work. And I think we are perhaps we're going to be left behind, because we can see now, even with other discipline, we are now moving towards, when we're talking about future ready, we're talking about convergent, we are talking about multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary. But here, when we talk about STEM, TVET, and also pure engineering, we are not even in a different discipline. We are in a, to a certain extent, we are families. So it's just a matter of looking at it as one aspiration that we need to work closely together. So that is roughly the background of trying to break the glass ceiling. I also have questions to Cheryl, if you can help me. We have been working on the TVET teacher standard and also TVET teachers guideline in Malaysia, but I think until today we have not managed to get those documents out. Because I was previously in Cebu when they had these TVET teachers and also TVET, something to do with TVET. And I think Philippine had the chance to, and Philippine was mentored by, I think, the Australian and also from the something bank development. I can't remember what it is now. So from there, do you how does your I look at I found that there are so many documents that you have just now. You have the TOT and also you have documents for specific Tibet sectors. How does it relate to the ASEAN Tibet teacher standards and all that? How does it go down? Thank you. That's my question to Sharon.
Cheryl?
Thank you, Dr. Aisha. Yes, Prof. Young. Thank you, Dr. Aisha, for the question. Regarding the different formats or the different documents that I have shown earlier, we have worked with what they have already in the agency. So like, for example, they have formats for competency-based learning matrix. They have formats for the session guides, the contextual learning matrix. All of this we followed in the development, so that, as I've said, they would be able to see how STEM is really integrated and not really changing the entire system that they have. And regarding the alignment with the qualifications framework, the TESDA, the ones that we have been working with, the lead of the the curriculum development office or the bureau within TESDA, they are aware of the skills development framework and even the qualifications framework outside. So we work hand in hand with them. And aside from that, there is actually another technical working group that was spearheaded by ILO, Country Office of the Philippines, wherein the other agencies, government agencies, are represented there. So we have the Department of Labor and Employment. We also have the Department of Science and Technology. And then we coordinated the different STEM initiatives where they are at currently and look at how we can actually synergize. So we found out, for example, the Department of Labor and Employment had this initiative on career advocacy and a career guidance. And they saw a way how the STEM in TVET work that we're doing in TESDA can actually be tied up to the work of ADOLE. And then we have the Department of Trade and Industry that's supervising also TESDA, and they have the Philippine Skills Framework. And the Philippine Skills Framework that's recently launched identified all these skills, and they are very much intuitively STEM. So the decision making, analytical thinking, and the other skills as well. And I just also want to catch on the comment regarding basic education. Because of the work that we have done with TESTA, the Department of Education, who's doing basic education training, but they have what you call the technical vocational livelihood track in senior high school, for which it's getting the biggest slice of our senior high school students. And because of what they have seen in our work on STEM in TVET in TESTA, so we are now working together with ILO Skills for Prosperity in the Philippines. We have been working with the Department of Education to also bring STEM in technical, vocational, and livelihood. But I'd like to emphasize the point earlier made by Datuk from the Malaysian Employers Federation on speaking the language of your stakeholders. So as we try to roll out this project, we have to make sure that I want that made clear that if we speak to the curriculum developers, if we speak to the trainers, we speak the lingo that will be understood by them. But it's a different thing if we're dealing with the trainees themselves. So we don't want to bombard them with this, technical jargons or the STEM jargons, but we want them to realize that in fact the local intelligence that they have, the common sense that they have about their job is actually STEM in itself. the demonstration of STEM skills. So for example, a tile setter will not, manually measure a tile to estimate the number of tiles will be used inside a room. But the knowledge of numeracy, that idea of being able to estimate the number of tiles based on the area that will be covered, is actually STEM in itself. It's numeracy in action. And even, on the shop floor, for example, our workers understanding that if one machine gets busted, the whole production line will be affected. But we don't say that it's systems thinking, but it's local intelligence, the troubleshooting, that purpose of troubleshooting, because understanding the production line is systems thinking in itself. So we will abide by that saying that we harness the local intelligence, we actually surface them, because in reality they are already STEM in itself, STEM skills. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing. Yes, thank you. Right. Once again, I open to the floor for any questions. So please raise your hand if you could share with us your thoughts, questions on following the presentations from the speakers. Right. I just want to, from Unku, I just want to share, Unku, as well as some questions where, is there any provision on where students with disability be part of it? And I think Dr. Mas, you have replied yes. And Unku have shared that they are currently working with people with disability on skill competition in Olympics and International in Moscow next year. Wonderful. So I wish you all the very best. And yes, perhaps this is something that we must take into account. I think Dr. Mas, you did mention about being inclusive, or I think Dr. Juni did mention about inclusive, putting in the spotlight women as well. So that's one thing that is just an issue in Malaysia as it is in the workforce. So on that note, I shall open for any responses from anyone, from the presenters as well from the responders. Any thoughts on this one? Because looking at the landscape of the workforce, the job sectors, for example, health is very much, the gendering of, health industry is very skewed towards the female. Education as well, schools are really very skewed toward women. Is this something that is happening worldwide? Well, I'm sure it's not, but is that in any way has got some impact? And looking at in STEM as it is, the figures, I think, from the graduate tracer study, we do have quite a slightly higher number of female undergraduates in fields of STEM as opposed to male. But when we look at the employability within 6 months, male has got a better are more employed as compared to female. So that's something that something really happening over there. But then again, going to this in TVET, I do not have the figures, but I shall open to the floor or any questions, any comments.
Okay, Prof. Yong, I would just like to reflect on the question. Yes, Ms. Unku, we welcome students with disability or students with different ability into these projects, because what we are looking at, yes, okay, this is what we've learned. Yes, currently, in terms of like offering a certain TVET courses, there's some program that are putting some criteria with a person with different abilities, a certain limited ability, they're not allowed to enroll in that particular courses. Yes, that exists in our country, because they might be looking at the output of the program is producing someone who only onto the physically type of job. So once we embark in this type of program, we are also looking at like in order to get a certain job done, it's not only looking at the physical. And in order for us to get a certain jobs done, it's not only on the individual learning capacity or individuals working working, type of working. We are looking also at the teamwork skills. We're looking of like how people, how like a different gender, how a different ability can work as a team into a learning and into integrating this STEM and TVET. So that's why we wanted to have more integrations. So and we wanted the trainees to look that once they enroll or once they graduate from a certain program, they are not only working alone. They are working as a group. They are working in a team, not maybe from their superior or someone like just in their colleagues or and so on. So once this can be input inside their mind or their understanding, so they will see like even though there might be someone with have a certain limitation, but the other person will have some extra advantages or and so on. So while having this, we can see like we can optimum the output from a certain workplace and so on. So that's one part that I would like to comment. But Prof, I saw one comment from Mr. Andrew about that secondary and elementary schools to encourage STEM in schools. So I would like to add on that. So we believe, especially us for STEM Center, we are looking from STEM pathway since these kids are very young at age. So even like if you can visit our website, we stem@um.edu.my, you can see like we have programs that we tailor-made from as young as 4 years old, and we this have a progression until they enroll into the higher learning institution, either TVET or university, so high school or any level, and towards after the graduation. So it's a whole picture itself. So yes, we understand that you want to see the once you start plant the tree, you won't be able to see the the fruits just 2 or 3 days later, right? So we know that we have to certain things that we've done, we have to wait for maybe 3 to 5 years to see the impact. So but we are very passionate into this. So we really hope that by having this effort, we can engage more or instill more interest from our young generations, especially our kids, to enroll or to know or to like Prof. Cheryl said, that they already have, some of them already have their STEM, but they don't see that, they don't realize that. So that's coming from me. Thank you, Prof. Yong.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to bring back, as what Dato Shahrudin has mentioned, really perhaps the words, the STEM subject itself is really scaring students at school. And Cheryl, I just want you to share your thoughts. How is it in Philippines? It's STEM something that students shy of? And if so, what you could share with us your experience?
As all of you are aware that we have been performing poorly in large-scale assessments, the national large-scale assessments, primarily because there are some disconnections between, for example, the kinds of assessments being done in terms of the framework that's being done outside. But teachers have to be trained really, as I mentioned earlier, they really have to be capacitated, build capacity on how to really translate the STEM skills into experiential learning, into something that's relevant or that something that students can connect to their daily lives. So here we're seeing that another thing that discourages them from STEM is that we still have yet to prepare more schools, build more schools that can offer STEM programs, because sometimes students tend to go to another program or go to another track simply because there's no nearest school that can offer them, a STEM track. And educating parents, I want to also emphasize that the one raised earlier by Dr. From Mosti, I think from Mohe, and saying that promoting STEM, promoting TVET, basically more on the knowledge of different occupations, because parents are actually critical also in informing their kids where to go. But parents need to understand, industry-facing supply and demand, but of course not in that language, but understanding where should children or students or trainees be encouraged to go or to explore. Because if, for example, the perspective is quite myopic, they only see what's in front of them, not seeing far ahead, then chances are that they will miss to, anticipate the skills demand or the skills that are needed. And so if that's the case, then by the time that there's a need, probably the worker or the student or the trainee will be disadvantaged. So those insights, I think, different factors that need to be considered dealing with all the spectrum of trainees. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Cheryl. Right. I would like to call back Dr. Dato' Haji Samsudin Badan from the MEF. I hope you don't mind, Dato'. I think one more question. Okay, Dato', here we are trying to bridge the gap between TVET and STEM. The way we put the two things together by looking at the skill sets, the competencies. And that's where we can see there's a lot of similarities, Dato'. Now, again and again, we have been hearing in the media that some of the skill sets are really not there, be it graduates, be it in the TVET. Dato', maybe your last words or your advice, your comments on, looking at the presentations on this. So, Dato'.
Thank you very much, Professor. Of course, when we are talking on this subject, in trying to actually meet up what is actually required by the industry, of course, this is something that is ever changing. And I would say that the changes are occurring very, very fast in terms of that technology. And of course, if say, for example, we just take a look at what happened when we first established our companies within Cyberjaya. At that time, if you remember, we have a lot of, I would say, students taking ICT. But unfortunately, the kind of students that we produce at that time are not actually the kind of student, the kind of employees you require for the Cyberjaya operators. Yeah. So what happened in the end? Yeah, there are a lot of people who are unemployed, but we brought in the graduates from Bangalore, things like that, to operate the Cyberjaya needs. Yeah? So that, I think, is a big loss to us because we fail to connect between what is aspired to be done and what we have, basically. And the same thing when we first talk about big data. Then we are scrambling to see what is big data and started to actually introduce that in our studies. But when the time comes for this student to get job on big data, the jobs are no longer there because it is really not in fashion anymore. So this is something that I think the world is changing very fast. And I think what we need to do is that the students, the trainers, the education system has to be more nimble and adapting to, I think, to the ever-changing requirements. And I think what we need to do is basically when we talk about STEM and also TVET, I think, yes, I think we just, let them know the core subjects, the basic things, and then the rest is for them to fill up the dots and connect the dots. And that, I think, is critical. So don't be thinking that, okay, look, once they actually graduate with certain expertise, then the expertise will be with them and relevant for the rest of their life. It's no longer like that, unfortunately. And I think this is where, the government time and again talks about upskilling, reskilling, and a lot of incentive are given on that. And I think we, the industry players, and also from the education side, I think need to really relook at all those kind of things so that we are not actually casting things into stones. Yeah? So that, I think, is something that I think we need to be always very mindful. So thank you.
Thank you, Dato'. A lot for us to reflect upon, a lot of us to digest, a lot of us to look at the things that we do and reframe it to the needs of the industry. Thank you very much, Dato'. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure hosting this session. So I shall hand over to Dr. Yung Chen Chen. Over to you, Dr. Yung Chen Chen.
Thank you to the esteemed list of panelists, respondents, and Prof. Yong as our moderator today for such an eye-opening discussion pertaining to this topic. We sincerely hope that the integrations of STEM generic skill into TVET induce a kickstart in the future effort and endeavor in supporting this program's mission. Dear participants, as a final presentation in our agenda today, as a wrap-up, I would like to invite in Senior Dr. Mas Sahidayana Mokhtar as a project leader to give the whole summary and the future timeline of this overall program. Please welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Yong Chen Chen. So let me share some insights that we might be able to gather during the when we discussed with the panel during the presentations and from the response. So yeah. Okay. So we gather some points coming from Dr. Junichi Mori when in his talk about introduction to the skills for prosperity program in Malaysia. So I'm not going to read this because I'm going to what we can see, like I think even on the ILO side, I think it's very important for us to see the skills supplies information and the skills demand information. And this will always be the challenges if we do not cater and balance this. And we are looking at how to get a better workforce and how we can break the glass ceiling. I think that's the words that kind of like everyone is talking now, like almost everyone is referring to glass ceiling, because I think which is true, which is very much true, because it's not only covering the actual situation on the graduates or the trainee, not only in TVET, it's also covering the situation for other graduates student as well. And also like I think one of the respondents was saying about how the funding and so on that is going to affect the economy and so on. So then how these students, how they are going to be inclusive in terms of growth, and how the business itself, the development of the economy and so on. Okay, next we have a very much honored because we have Prof. Cheryl who shared her experience when she conducted the comparative analysis and her experience when she conducted the actual project in Philippines, where she presented to us a comparison between a few countries, for example, UK, Singapore, Australia, and we saw Vietnam, and we saw how they already have some taxonomy or some mapping in terms of the skills, universal or globally, and until the humanize of the skills, and how these STEM skills are increasingly important with the emergence of new technologies across the industries. And I would love to say thank you to Dr. Cheryl for sharing her pain points on how we should be progressing to ensure that the projects that we are going to conduct in Malaysia to be in pace or to be at least with the intended outcome and output. Okay, then I think I've been sharing about what we are going to do in Malaysia, what we are the works that we are going to embark with and in these 4 stages of phases, where we are going to conduct the situational needs analysis, where we are going to design the STEM curriculum modules, development guidelines to be able to benefit by a lot of parties, and how we can implement this and apply into a couple of programs, and from this on, how we can use the findings to, so we can scale it bigger, and at least can be used by others sectors as well, not only the construction and also the food processing only. And we are using quite a number of tools while we are really focusing onto the virtual or online surveys, but hopefully one day during the projects we can have some physical engagement, because we believe in TVET and STEM, we still need to see the hands-on and the practicality of the modules. So then we hope that by having this project, we will contribute towards the overall integration of STEM-related generic skills, so we can assist all the beneficiaries into a more flexible and open system. So like because we know that this is ever changing, fast changing requirements coming from the stakeholders, and we hope that we can have some policies discussions with all the policies owners and how we can empower and enhance this STEM and TVET integration. I would like to also from our discussion that some summary. I think we might not be able to write every single comments, but we really take notes, and it's a very, very important comment. But we see that there's a common belief and participation in contribution from all industry players. So we can see that we are very delighted to see all the industry players and the government sectors are willing to help us into these projects to ensure that we get the intended outcome for our benefit for our countries. And we are looking at the quality of the skills trainings and make sure it's relevant in terms of like it can be communicated into either lower level or higher level of TVET, and also like it can be understand and towards a different level, the trainers, the trainees themselves, and so on. And of course, we would like to see. I believe that maybe the TVETs, as it is, we can see the good rate of the employment, but we want to see them to progress in their career. Like what Dr. Junichi said, we want them to break the glass ceilings. And these outcome from these projects are very essential to improve the existing either training, curriculum, or maybe can have a discussion for the policies. Okay. Then I would like to just summarize some way forwards from this on. So we can see that we have 4 phases. We just started our phase 1 with the situational needs analysis, where we are going to gather all the inputs coming from the policies frameworks, agenda, strategic maps, from the industry workforce. I'm going to add on into the beneficiaries as well. So we are going to get their feedbacks as well in terms of the situational need analysis. In terms of the program coming from the students and also the lecturers and the program owners. And we wanted to have a scientific or committee coming from the stakeholders, or especially to the respondent who came here to this launching ceremony. And we hope that we can proceed to phase 2 later on next year, where we are going to develop the curriculum or modules. So we can have we will put in mind when we develop the modules training for trainers, so it can be something usable for everyone, and something that can be, when they have this model, can be understandable at a different levels of trainers. And the third phase, we also like to then once we have this input coming from phase 2, maybe later next year, we are going to implement our pilots modules into a couple of like programs, and we will consolidate and disseminate the results. And from there, in phase 4, hopefully by end of next year or early 2023, we will hope to be able to produce a final version of these guidelines and evidence-based policy recommendations. And last but not least, what we are looking at is like development of replicable, scalable, and sustainable Malaysia model of the integration of STEM-related generic skills into TVET and skills training. And we hope that not only the government agencies, the industrial player, the learning institutions, the TVET and skills trainees, particularly we are looking at the youth 18 to 25 years old, women and other beneficiaries, vulnerable group with disability, different abilities, and all section B40 and so on, and also for the NGOs, for example, National STEM Association and the community of Malaysia at large can benefit from these projects. So by that, I would like to end my kind of like summary and way forward today, Dr. Chen. Or I would like to say thank you to my project management team, of course, to Dr. Junichi, to Prof. Cheryl, to Shaza, to Nizam, and of course to my team. With me here is Dr. Siu Chok, Dr. Chen, Dr. Aisha, Ayasha Ro, Dr. Cik Wan. We have Madam Azniza and Madam Sahawa, and to all my researchers or like project officers, Cik Shida, Cik Iwana, Miss Chitong, and Miss Shazila Idris. So this will be our contact if you get we hope that everyone here can join us and embark with us in this project. Thank you, Dr. Chen.
Thank you, Dr. Mas. For the summary and with the wrapping up session, that concludes the event for today. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Akiko Sakamoto, Regional Skill Development and Employability Specialist, ILO, Decent Work Technical Support Teams for East and Southeast Asia and the Pacific to give her concluding remarks. Please welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. And then also thank you for Dr. Mas for giving us a great summary of today's launch and giving us a clear. I don't know how you will, but I thought that the time went very fast for me. I mean, it was a very rich exchange of the perspective and experience and insights on the subject. I would like to also join Dr. Mas and thanking all the presenters, speakers, those who gave us comments very much. I mean, thank you very much because these are very valuable inputs especially we are at the beginning of this important initiative. And we are very pleased that the event brought together the representative from the government, industries, academics, and more, really the key stakeholder for national movement for STEM in Malaysia. I understand that the 12 Malaysia plan was just launched, right? And I'd like to commend Malaysia's effort to promote the TVET as well as the science, technology, innovation, and sustainability through green technology under the 12th Malaysia plan. And then I really feel that this project on a STEM integration in TVET and skills program is therefore very, very timely. I felt that the launch today really clearly presented the case and the importance of working on genetic STEM skills, preparing for the future. I mean, as many of us already know that there is a huge global interest on importance of core skills or maybe other call it soft skills, right? And then here that the genetic STEM skills are really key foundation for supporting the national effort in responding to the needs of the IR 4.0. But I mean, as we discussed earlier, that really equipping the young people with the good STEM genetic skills, including the strong numeracy, is really needed. Ability to work with technology, understand technology is needed for the all level of manufacturing, not only the high end and then the other sectors as well. I feel that the strengths of the project that we are launching today is not just a study, right? It's not the conceptual work, it's not the academic, it's not the academic exercise. Our plan is to go all the way to the pilot, working with the concerned industry partner to really, our ultimate is that to change the ground level reality so that our workers will equip with the skills that they needed to navigate through, as the previous speaker mentioned, very rapidly changing world of work, right? And then what I also like is that this ambition of this project, that the team in the University of Malaya is using this, building on this pilot initiative to something at the policy level and to contribute to the development of a national framework of the STEM. So it is ambitious, but I think that it is really a holistic, comprehensive project. And so it is action oriented. I wanted to stress. It's I'm quite familiar. Is that Dr. Sherry already shared that ILO's new global core work skill framework and so on. So there's a lot of global work actually being done, and then a lot of work and then being presented that what skills are needed, right? What are the important skills for the future? But in fact, very little initiative is actually go a step further to talk about how can we teach those skills, So therefore, what we are doing, taking the concept and then actually trying to change the reality and then integrating the real teaching is, I think I would say, quite pioneering. And then is that the way that also telling that Dr. Sheryl, when we actually work in a Philippine context as well, to working with TVET institutions and then the teachers and so on. But I really took a note of that, especially the comments from the industry, Dr. Shamsuddin, and also Mr. Andrew about, don't make it this as a sort of don't bring us another jargon, It's, and I think it's an important perspective, as already noted by previous speakers. What we want to change is that really equipping the people and then the skills that need to ready for the future work. to change the ground reality. I think it needs to be communicable. It has to be something that will be actionable. I think it's a very important thing to make. I think that we, as a sort of academics and maybe teacher or trainer, it might be important to know about really, what is this conceptual theoretical idea behind it. But at the students, I mean, they don't necessarily need to know. It seems to me that the best way to teach resilience or adaptability is to give them a more room for experiment, trial, error. Don't really stuff them with a list of things that a teacher was supposed to teach them. So it's really also a challenge to them, a new way of teaching, learner-centered approach, perhaps that Dr. Sherry already talked about. So anyway, it's a lot of interesting but a challenging work ahead of us, and then we are just at the beginning. But I feel that we are making a good start because Malaysia has all this global work in other countries' experience to draw from and build on. And then Dr. Ma's presentation already shown to us that it's already started incorporating the Malaysia work is building on them. And we have a great team from the University of Malaya, and we have a great partner to start with. So I think we are good. We are making a good start. From the ILO is committed to providing its technical expertise, happy to bring the case studies from global, linking with you with global network to really to support this initiative. And then I hope that everyone present here today will join the team in the University of Malaya to be part of this exciting, important project. And everyone's contribution is necessary to help the shape of the future of the STEM in the TVET and skill. Lastly but not least, I would like to thank colleagues without their help this partnership could not be launched. First of all, colleague from the University of Malaya, Professor Dr. Stefani Shamila, Dr. Yong Zulina, great moderator, the Dr. Mas, who's the project leader for the STEM integration TVET project, and then also a number of the team from the University of Malaya. Dr. Cheryl Monterera, thank you. It's been really a pleasure working with you. And also like the donor, British High Commission, Mr. Kibu Absahara, also Ms. Itzan Ismail. It's a great support for this project. Thank you, and we would like to continue working with you. And then of course our team, wonderful team, our ILO team, Junichi and Shaza and Nizam. And then, thank you very much for all the speakers, representatives for the government, industry, Datu, Shamsuddin, Mr. Andrew, and then other representatives from the industry and in academia. Thank you very much. And then lastly, thank you very much all to share the moment of starting up of this exciting, important national initiative of STEM. And then we look forward to working with you in taking this important endeavor forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Akiko Sakamoto, for your wonderful speech. Dear all participants, appreciate you can fill up the evaluation form through the link posted in the chat box. Thank you. To all participants, we are more than delighted to have you on board to witness this enthused effort in ensuring a thorough integrations and diversity from the perspective of education, especially within STEM and TVET landscapes. We wish this step and the launching will stimulate further partnership and collaborations for the future of our generations and to more successful planning in the years to come. Thank you all, and I represent the Secretariat apologize for any unforeseeable mistake during the ceremony, and we are greatly thankful for your attention till the end. Thank you to all participants for making today's event success. Also, a sincere thank you to all who have contributed to our initial discussions of the programs. With that, a very good afternoon to everyone, and thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.